Hello. I think I'm live. Fingers crossed, eh? Jammy's that's very insightful, isn't it? Recording the rest of it. The bits before we go live. Nobody wants to hear this.
You're live.
Yay! Wow. There is so much chat. Go on, I'll try and get back to it. Pandemonium was first. Congratulations. Let me zoom in a bit. I've lost my glasses. Need my glasses to find my glasses. Been watching subs numbers every day. Absolutely brilliant. Credit to your hard work. Thank you very much, Pandemonium. Slowed down this week, but it's comical. It's comical because the subs are going up. And then the views go up, don't they? And then the views go down. And then the views go up and then the views go down. I don't know how people can not watch after they've watched. It's obviously a YouTube thing, but it's been hysterical. Hello, Peter. Hello, Debbie. Who else have we got? Hello, Kim. And Renee's in the house. And Jammy. Oh, what happened to the gym? Did that get sacked off this week? Very wise. No good ever comes of going to the gym. Trust me.
I sacked the gym off as well, Jammy.
Hello, Carol. Only just made it. Was this because you were playing with ChatGPT? Because the speed they went through it tonight, I was like, whoa, slow down. That's most unusual. I usually have it on at 5 speed. Renee's been for a night tour of the safari park. Do we have that here?
We have safari parks.
I know, we've got Knowsley, haven't we?
Yeah.
I went there once on a coach.
Oh, I've never been.
No. I'm not sure it would appeal.
Isn't Longleat a safari park?
No, isn't that a private house?
Oh.
There might be some animals there. I think the guy who ran it died. Oh. Have a look. Find out. We need to know these things. Who else have we got? Hello, Paul. Hello, Patience. And all the silent majority as well. Hello to you all. Hello, Graham.
Longleat Safari and Adventure Park.
Oh, it is then. Fair enough. I stand corrected. And I'm trying to make sure I've not missed anybody. Jonathan! Hello, Jonathan. Jonathan's going to enjoy Obsidian tonight because I know he's got that kind of specific mindset like me. How far can I push it? And we've got something in terms of pushing it. You'll enjoy it. Obviously, you won't see it till the morning, but there you go. Jammy wants to hear the air be blue. Trust me, you don't. Oh... The air is blue over Manchester. Oh, steady on, Peter. We don't talk about red and blue over Manchester because it causes riots. Don't do that. And with the cup final coming up, happy to say cup final, 3:00. Just saying. As it should be. How did I guess? Exactly, Carol. You come away just energised, don't you? With like, oh, it's so easy. And then 2 minutes later, it's like, oh dear. I can't wait to see the new stuff. I was busy trying to copy the link by text sniping it, and I don't think it got it quite right. I think it was one character out. Oh, Graham says not that any of us would watch any other tutorials. Let's have a look. Yes. I know. No, I can't remember his name. Remember his name.
Gary, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, he's been around years, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I remember seeing some of those ages ago. The Marquis of Bath and his wife at Longleat. I thought he died.
Maybe
but there again,
as a replacement.
Well, it could be because they just inherit the title, don't they? Because now Prince Edward isn't Prince Edward because he was the Duke of Wessex, wasn't he? And now he's the the Duke of Edinburgh. His son is no longer Viscount whatever he was. He's now his dad's title. It's all very confusing, isn't it? It's very confusing. We're weird over here with our royalty, but there you go. Right, okay then. Let's head off and get on. We've got loads to do. Interesting week at MacBites headquarters. So, let's see if we can do... Oh, it's all working. Wonders will never cease. Right. Hey! So, I think this is what we're doing. This was the plan. I wouldn't like to say it's in that order, but this was the plan. So, I said I'd show you the PowerPoint update I was getting giddy over. It's a tiny thing, but it's exciting to me. Small things, as they say. Then there's the big Hindenburg PRO 2 update, which was due for release on Tuesday. Tuesday was a rare old busy day here because, with no warning whatsoever, Camtasia 2023 was released. As I pointed out to you, Mike, only 10 months after the last one. So just proves the point, maintenance is well worth it, isn't it? Well worth it. Have I lost you already?
No, I'm just replying in the chat.
Then Mike is showing us a Premier League dashboard. We have a freebie, and then we are going on to Obsidian using Dataview to create an automated mock map of content. So that's the plan. 1080p, make sure you are receiving in 1080p. There is a cog in the lower right hand corner where you can make sure that you've got the option with the red flash on it. While you're down there, there's a like button, and we all like the like button, don't we? Don't we? So let's go back in time to last Saturday. I can't really remember what on earth we did during the day. I think I had a wee bit of a lie-in. Let's talk about that no longer, because it was quite a long lie-in. But Mike had at 9 o'clock. Love of his life was arriving, wasn't it? Tesco's. But Tesco actually rang him. This was in the news this week. Did you see it?
No.
Major story this week that it was a delivery driver for Tesco. It wasn't Wendy. But a delivery driver for Tesco. A pet peeve of theirs is when they ring a customer and ask if they can go early, and they discover that either the phone isn't answered or the number isn't real. And that annoys them. But I thought when people were saying to them, I've booked a time for a reason, that's quite legitimate. Anyway, they rang at 7:20 for delivery at 7:30, an hour and a half early. But you were quite pleased with that, weren't you? Because it meant it was all over and done with. So that was Saturday's excitement, and that was it. Sunday was way more exciting. Sometimes there are no words for how exciting it is. It was St George's Day for a start, so I don't know why they picked this day for the big nationwide test. A nationwide test of what, I hear you? Yes, 3 o'clock we were warned that there would be an emergency test, and you didn't sign up for this or anything. You couldn't get out of it. Actually, you can. There is a way that you can get out of it, but we thought, well, let's see how it goes. It became known as the Armageddon alarm, and it was booked for 3 o'clock on Sunday. As you can see here, we got the alarm a minute early, which was better than some who received either no notification at all or one that was 15 minutes late. But we wouldn't want anybody to miss out, so we recorded it. So now, bearing in mind that I am at least 20 to 30 seconds behind you, and I need to know if you're hearing it, so I'm going to have to wait for Mike to give me a thumbs up. But I didn't want you to miss it. If you're not in this country, you wouldn't have heard it, would you? But if you were in this country and you didn't get it, or you're not in this country, this was what it was. Are you ready? Excellent. Apparently I heard that. I tried to turn it up so I could hear it, but never mind. So that was it. And that was the message that we got with it. Now, that would have been where the fun ended, only it didn't, obviously. This was the Welsh message. So people in Wales, geographically, where your phone is, not where you're registered, where you actually are. So if we'd have been in Wales for the day, that's the message we would have got. There's a lot of vowels in there. But I have no idea. Don't ask me to read it to you. Nobody wants to hear me butcher the Welsh language. Now, despite it being only 50 miles from the Welsh border, I don't speak a word of Welsh, I'm afraid. Luckily, there were plenty of other people who did, who were quick to point out an error in the message. Now, bearing in mind, this message is like the Armageddon alert. How can you have an error in it? The offending word was Vogel at the end of the first paragraph. It doesn't exist in the Welsh language. You'd think they'd avoid that kind of error, wouldn't you? I, of course, did not leave it there. I went off it. it. So I put in the message in Welsh and I translated it to English. And as expected, it did a great job, Google Translate, but it agreed that Vogel isn't a Welsh word, hence no translation. I didn't give up, though. I decided to go the other way and take the English message and translate it into Welsh. And apparently it's Diagel, not Vogel. And forgive my pronunciation of that. Good job it wasn't a real emergency. That's all I'll say.
Vogel is Dutch for bird, apparently, according to Renee.
Well, at least it means something in Dutch. It means nothing in Welsh. It's not really a word in English, is it? It doesn't mean anything. Oh, well, now we know it's bird. Oh, Carol will like that.
Vogel is German for bird as well.
Now they did mention that there was a German word in there, but that would only make it worse because last week, before this test message, I think it was somebody in the Welsh Congress or something, maybe a town councillor or something, somebody in an official capacity in Wales, who obviously doesn't speak Welsh. That's a bit of an issue, I would have thought, in Wales. They received 2 letters from a constituent and replied to both of them in German, which is just downright rude. She said it was a joke. It didn't go down well. So to make a mistake then at the weekend with the important message is just like, really? So as I say, good job it wasn't a real emergency, but that wasn't the end of the saga. But first there was the not insignificant matter of an FA Cup semi-final to contend with. Oh, big day. Big day. We haven't played Brighton in the Cup, have we, since we won?
Don't think we
in
have.
83. Oh, it's 40 years ago. I, of course, was a mere child. I really was. I was at school, honestly. So down to Wembley everybody went. It wasn't actually full, was it? I'm not surprised, really, given the prices. Mind you, I shocked myself with the price of that Hamilton ticket this week, didn't I? Hamilton at a local theatre, £78. Wow. Anyway, Mike said, shall we eat after the match? No problem, I said. 90 minutes, we wouldn't starve. 9 minutes turned into 120 as we entered extra time. Then, still nothing to separate them. It was the drama of a penalty shootout. At this stage, Mike did actually offer to go down and cook on the basis that we couldn't win a penalty shootout if it was rigged. We actually won the penalty shootout. And only 3.5 hours after deciding to wait for dinner, we did manage to eat. Yes, there were jokes about having a full English breakfast. But it was a good day because that meant... Actually, was it a good day? I mean, yes, it's good to get to the final, isn't it? But then you find that you're playing Manchester City, who are pretty good. Yeah, but never mind. It's not until June. Things could turn round by June. So, Monday came along. The week started well. Not. I read online stories coming out that after the emergency notification test, folks couldn't make or receive calls. Surely that wouldn't affect us, I thought. Better test it to make sure, though, because honestly, I wouldn't know if my phone was working or not. I checked, and the last call I made was to Mike's mother to wish her a happy birthday, last July. Incoming calls, I would have no idea. It's muted in all the ways possible. So we tested it. Absolutely typical. Neither phone was working. Mike's was definitely fine before the emergency test, because he uses his. But much testing ensued between us, and no amount of persuasion was persuading these phones to talk to each other. We do not have a landline, so we couldn't bring that into the test. So, I know what I'll do, I thought. I'll log into Skype. Not logged in there probably since last July either. Because we were getting nowhere. So, I turned Skype on, which only added to the drama. I discovered 2 emergency calls had been made to my Skype number. From Northwest Water. Long story short, we had no water. The first call was to report to let us know that there was a leak about 500 yards away. The second call, 4.5 hours later, they were contemplating sending an engineer. Lovely. What were we to deal with first, the water or the phone? No brainer. We have bottled water and plenty of it. So back to the phone fiasco it was then. We were still getting absolutely nowhere, even with Skype involved. And I say using Skype because we have landline numbers in Skype. This was when we dragged Mike's mother into the fun because she's got a landline and an iPhone. Turned out she didn't get the emergency alert at all. She felt left out until we explained what was happening here. She was then quite relieved. After numerous calls and attempted calls backwards and forwards, I worked out what had happened, which meant we could fix it without having to visit anywhere. So some magic button pushing combinations later, we were back online. Mike's mum insisted on ringing us both one more time though, just to be sure that everything was really okay. Which was when I assured her it was, and I would now be moving on to deal with North West Water and our lack of a water supply. She was horrified at what we were dealing with. But as you all know, that's just an average week at MacBites headquarters, isn't it? By the end of the day, the pressure was back to normal, wasn't it? Instead of a trickle. But like I say, bottled water, this is the answer to it. I don't know if Lola would drink bottled water. She likes filthy water, does Lola. You could just let her out into the garden, though, really, couldn't you?
True.
You know, she looks at it if it's too clean, as though you expect me to drink that. So Monday was a bit of a write-off, which meant Tuesday was really the start of my week. And I was booked solid, because it was the Hindenburg PRO 2 launch party. I had my ticket. There was only 100 golden tickets, like Willy Wonka, isn't it? There was 100 golden tickets and I had one. Mike, of course, had a webinar booked. So I sat there through this thing and I'll tell you more about it later. Yeah, but remember that, launch party. Just saying, launch party. While I was doing that, I was sidetracked by the arrival of Camtasia 2023. I have a running list of issues with it. And every year the new version comes out and I check against my list. And every year I'm a disappointed woman. They have added some fabulous stuff. Have they fixed all my woes? No. But I'm sure we'll get there at some point. So Tuesday night, instead of doing what I should have been doing, I was playing with new software. We took us on to Wednesday. Really, this could have been North West Water back, couldn't it? Yeah, you know that corner across the road? Regulars will know that corner has been dug up more times than we can count. And yes, they did it again. This time, as you can see, it's that wide and the legs on those things are sticking out that far that the robots couldn't get past. So the robots were kind of stuck on it. One of the robots hit one of the legs. So, a grand week it was. But close inspection, and the sign informs us it's for fibre broadband, up the new telegraph pole. We're just waiting for the telegraph pole to fall down at the first sign of a breeze. I prefer cables to be where ours are, buried in the front garden. Less chance of anything calamitous happening to them, and yes, I'm touching wood as I say that. But we did have internet, didn't we, from B at the time, and it came in with the phone line. So obviously there is another telegraph pole at the other end of the street, and it was attached to our house. Our TV aerial fell off and landed on top of the internet cable in this almighty, this was more than a breeze, this was an almighty storm, and it was bouncing up and down on the internet. I wasn't in the slightest bit interested about the TV aerial. So I sent my dad up a ladder in the worst weather to tell him to get this TV aerial off the internet wire before that went, because that would have been calamitous. But yes, we have, I can't actually see the name of it, hang on, BetterNet, coming from Bursk, it says. Brusque. It's a bit weird. Anyway, we'll let you know how much that is. Have you noticed, Mike, it's got the B logo on it?
It has.
It has, the little star. So more on that coming soon when they fix the road again. But as you can see, they haven't even fixed that one yet. And if you look over on the right-hand side, let's get my mouse just about there. They're digging it up again. There's a cross on it. That one's going. So we expect them back shortly. It's crazy living here. It's honestly. So that took us through to Thursday. Premier League match on Thursday. Spoiler, don't mention the match. Mike was delirious. They were 2-0 up, weren't they? Before the break. What could possibly go wrong? And wasn't even playing, was he? Maguire.
No.
No. Maguire liked scoring for the opposition. He wasn't even playing and they managed to claw it back to 2-2. So, a draw snatched from the jaws of victory there, I'm afraid. Which takes us on to Friday. Quiet day Friday. Yes, I had lots of sessions to attend, but other than that, it was a quiet day. Which got me thinking. It's always dangerous, you see, when it's a quiet day. It seems everyone is getting giddy about the coronation. Needless to say, we're not. We're always swimming against the tide. Which was when I had an idea, because a party seems like a grand idea. What to do? Have you all got your pens ready? You need your diaries ready. Special announcement, you won't want to miss this. Right, Monday the 8th of May, which is a couple of days after the coronation, but it's a national holiday in the UK because of the coronation. So I don't care if he wants to get coronated every week, works for me. So Monday the 8th at 7 p.m, we have something special. Yeah, we needed a party. And I'm not celebrating the coronation, I'm celebrating the fact that there is a Marooned at MacBites headquarters, the coronation special. Who's going to be with us? The coronation will feature for all of 2 seconds, and then it'll be pure MacBites Marooned magic. All happening on MacBites FM. If you've never been before, it's MacBites FM. And Peter needs to remember that there's audio as well as text. But I'm sure you've remembered that by now, Peter. Oh, excitement. Right, let me move this up here so I can move the rest, so I can see that. So, have we got people coming? Kim's pleased! Yay! Oh, and it's Carol's wedding anniversary today. Happy wedding anniversary, Carol. 44 years. Wow. You're 13 years ahead of us. Right, so let's get going.
And she's chosen to spend it with us.
Yes, of course she has. Well, I'm sure Mr. Carroll's enjoying it just as much. Right, PowerPoint for Mac update. This was the one that I mentioned last week, which is actually a really tiny update. It's not a huge update, but it was a big thing for me because I've been waiting for it for so long. So I need to come out of PowerPoint. So out we come. So I can open up a new file. I think I had a file ready and show you the update. There is still a reason to go with the old way. So let's head off into PowerPoint where I have a demo file. Right, so this is something they promised 10 months ago. They have been fairly decent in letting you know long ahead of time when this stuff's coming out. If only it would open the files as fast. Oh, here we go. Right, so what I've got here is this was just made by going to File, New from Template, and I have a template that is the After Hours template. That's a bit of a drama. Some of that needs to be Windows, but it's there. That's it. So you can see I have slides like Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's and Morrison's, depending on which one we've used, and so forth. So there's quite a lot of slides in there to start with. Right, but sometimes you have a slide like this and you've got an image on it, and it's usually on a black background, because if that image is 1 pixel out, we'll all know about it. So if that was on a white background and 1 pixel out, so if we put it 1 pixel out and then change the layout to be a white background, this is what happens when you see it. So let's press play. See the white stripe on the right hand side. So you've got to be incredibly specific, precise with your placement, or cheat and have a black background. So without moving that image, if I go into the layout and I change the layout to a black slide, and you can see I've got a whole range of slides here, but that's the black one. No, not the blue one, the black one. No, I don't want to do anything like that. Just do as you're told. What are you doing? Right, we want that with a plain black background. Freeze. It's going triply slow at the moment. You can see the black line, but when you are presenting that, you won't see the black line. It will just look like it's part of the background. This is why it's important that things are in the right place. So you can see it in the right place when you move it, because you get 2 red lines. If I can get that in just the right place. So each corner you can see red lines hanging off it. You have 2 vertical lines, 2 horizontal lines, and that indicates that that is perfectly in the right place. And you are perfectly entitled to go about your business and do that with it. Right, here's where I get a bit of a problem. So if I want to put something on there like studio time, and then I think, yeah, need that a bit bigger, so I'll make that a bit bigger, and then it's not in the right place. So I make a stab at it and think, right, and now look what's happening as I'm moving this. So I move over the text. It means that if I click once, it goes in to edit the text. But I actually want to move the text. But I've got to get it at just the right place. If I do that, I move backward. And that is annoying. You can do it by clicking in here once and then hovering on the edge, but it's just annoying. The faster you try and work, the more chance there is that you will inadvertently click the background and move it. So this is the new feature. Drum roll, please. In the selection pane, you have always had the ability in here. So there's my recording studio image. You've always had the ability to toggle it off. But the problem with toggling it off, at least I won't move it now, but I can't precisely place the text either because I can't see the image. We now have the ability next to it, look at that, to lock it. I mean, to me, that is such a tiny thing, but it makes a massive difference. So now this is locked. If you look at the handles now, they have got like double-headed arrows on. And you are now not moving that anywhere. You can, of course, go into here and move this around unless you want to lock it. So once you've got that in the place that you want it, if you are going to continue putting things on here, you may want to lock that one as well. And then that one won't move either. So tiny, such a tiny, tiny thing. The way that they actually wanted you to work with this on a Mac is very different though. So let me show you the old way, because there's still occasions that would be a better bet. So let's imagine that I am putting in the football scores. So this is Saturday, isn't it? There's Saturday. Let's put a football score in Saturday. So here's Saturday. If I already have a slide, so I have this black slide, but I might want to put something else on there. And let's say it's an FA Cup one. So instead of changing this layout, I need to add a new slide, which is the new slide option. But if you click the option next to it, instead of just adding in a new slide, and in this case, because the Sunday one is black, this one would be black too. Blank black it would be. But I don't want that one because I know it's the FA Cup. And you can see the Obsidian stuff at the bottom and you can see the football stuff here. So I know it's an FA Cup one. Insert a new slide and it's automatically got the correct master on it. So let's insert that. Right. The next one after that would then be, so back to my new slide, and I have a whole range of them. They might look the same. So the blank one might look like the Premier League, and that might look like the Champions League and the England one and all the rest of it. They are not the same. I will show you in a way they are not the same. But that is a placeholder waiting for the image that I have with the result on it. So let's have a look at that. I have that as an image, and there's the image. And I've deliberately left something on here to explain this whole process. But all I need to do with that image is drag it onto my slide. For reasons best known to themselves, they always bring it in too small. So I then have to make that much bigger. So actually this is going to cover the entire slide. So you might wonder why I bothered on the slide here to do that with it, where I've got the image at the top, the line at the top. There is a reason for that. Right, this is the other way of doing it. If you want to put a background image on a slide and you don't want it to move, there was another alternative. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to cut this image so it's on my clipboard. And then on this slide, where we have the format of it, you can see it's saying format background. And do you want a solid fill, a gradient fill? What do you want? You can change this. Now, I want to point out that at the moment, there is here, within that rectangle, I know it might be very difficult to see. There's a white box. The background is not white, but within that rectangle, there is a white box. Maybe we could zoom up to it and we would have a look. Bring that down. There is the white box. So the white box is now here. What is the white box doing there? Well, all will be revealed. So I've got the image that I want on this slide. Come on, let's fit. I've got the image that I want on this slide on the clipboard, but I want to put it on this slide in a way that it doesn't move. So over here where you have fill, you can see a picture or texture fill. It gives you a hideous texture fill. I can't see anybody wanting to use that, but it does show you that the dark line at the top and that white box are on the background. Now, I have the option to change that pattern for what is on my clipboard. I've got two options. I can insert an image or I could choose to use the clipboard. Now, when it puts the image on the clipboard in here, it's going to do it and it's going to put it over the top of the pattern, but underneath this square and underneath that brown line. How do we know? Well, if I paste it in here, you can see it says FA Cup today. And look where that is lining up there. I have this box to cover up the date because I take these screenshots all kinds of days. I don't want it to say the date on it or yesterday or whatever. So I'm going to cut that and I'm going to go over to the format background where we were and say clip. And it pastes it in and you can no longer see the word today because it's actually sandwiched it between the pattern and the box and the line at the top. That was the old way of doing it. Why didn't I just do that? Well, I did initially, and then one day I needed to make a change for some reason. And I couldn't get this image out from its background. Once it was there, that was it. So as I'm drawing on this, it doesn't move because it's part of the background of the slide, but nor could I get to it to make a change. So what I would have to have done was get a new image and then clipboard it and do it a second time. And I thought that's a bit of a pain. If I suddenly needed that image, I no longer have that image as an editable image. But the fact that it sandwiched it between it, which was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Now, if you don't want that, that's bad news if you've got something there, but you do have this option to hide the background graphics. And if you toggle that off, you can see the today comes back. So you've taken what was on the master slide, but you've hidden it. So you can actually toggle that on and off. So there's two ways to work with, in this case, a background where you're not going to make a selection and move something. But I don't find that as flexible. I would much rather paste the image on and now I edit the date out of it at the point I take the image. But I guess this might have uses for you. I find it too inflexible, but that is the second way to do it. So really simple when it comes to working with it. I personally think it's something that should have been there since forever. All you need to do is make sure that you've got the item selected, and when you go into your selection pane, you have your lock option and your view option. So you can actually hide these if you want to and lock them. So now we've got parity in that regard with PowerPoint for Windows at long last. You know, it was so important to me because I'm working so fast. You know, I think I worked it out and I was making 16,000 slides a year. I haven't got time to hang about. Then there was the time I needed to recreate 130 slides in 20 minutes. I've not got time. I have not got time for vagaries of it moving things when I don't want them moved. It was so important to me. I seriously contemplated using PowerPoint for Windows. Came to my senses, don't worry, but it was on my mind. I was contemplating it. So do we have any questions about that?
Patricia is very impressed.
Oh, likes that.
Yes.
It makes more of a difference than you would imagine.
Like Canva does now, she says.
Canva's really good. Canva is really, really good. I mean, you can make presentations, just do the whole lot in Canva. The reason that I don't And there's another one as well. What's that other one? Slide something. Let's have a look.
Rocket.
No, Google Slide. Slidey. Not called Slide, obviously. Oh, Pitch. Pitch was incredible. The reason that I don't use it is if you look at these slides of mine, there's huge images on them. And I just think it would be ludicrous to be trying to upload them. I even thought of Google Slides, but no. I need something local, and I need something where I can make a template. I need something where I can put in automatic things. So here, let's take this Wednesday one. Right, that's what it looks like. Then obviously I need to put a date in. So next Wednesday is the 3rd of May, and that's what I do. If I've put anything after it, if I've got any content for it, then I change this, which is my tracking system. So we've talked about this, it was a long time ago, but we've talked about how it works. So I have this in here, but in the shape formats, I've set it up so my colours in here, when they finish loading, are specific to what I do. So I have a black colour, I have red to mean it's not started, I have gold to mean it is, I have green to mean it's finished. The blue, the pink and the other one, I had various things for what that meant. But the benefit is I can tell if something needs finishing off, like that one, or if something isn't started. Or I could go to this one and I could change the colour. So into shape formats. Don't know why this is taking forever to load this time. I would change that to green. Are we going to do that? There we go. A second benefit of this, not pink, green. Oh, you want to stay red, do you? Oh, now you're green. Fair enough. Right, second benefit of this is, as I'm going through my presentation, I get to a point like this where that's finished. So I click on it and I delete it. So let's imagine that I finished Wednesday as well. I delete it. But it's now 5 to 9. YouTube's acting up, and I don't know if I've got anything that needs to be finished off. So if we just look at one of these, you can't see anything. It's a dot. It's a shape, isn't it? But I need to know if there's anything that needs finishing. So in the search at the top, I will type in track and press enter, and it will tell me that there are 12 of them, and this is number 3. And you can see here that that is selected. What's that all about? Well, each of these actually has some text in them that actually says status tracker. So if I go in there, have you selected it? Right. I think I've got the transparency of the text set to 0. So if we go into the text options, transparency, but every one of those shapes says status tracker in it. So if I do a search for that and I get anything other than 0, I know I've not finished it. So that's just something that I've put together. But that's why I stick with PowerPoint. And before that, I had exactly the same system in Keynote. Because these online things are fantastic, but they don't actually help you with stuff like that. Right. Have we got no questions?
We have got questions now.
Oh, now we've got questions.
Now we've got questions. First question from Zorba Press. Elaine and Mike, do you like Camtasia more than ScreenFlow? Well, I'll go first. Yes, I like Camtasia more than ScreenFlow.
Yes, so do I. We switched from ScreenFlow in the summer of 2018. And the reason was both of them are a pain in the backside. As soon as an operating system is updated, they break. They were both as bad as each other with that. My issue with ScreenFlow, do you remember that time there was an issue with it? The one from the App Store. They couldn't get an expedited review for a really bad bug in the App Store version. Their own version, direct, was fine. But the App Store version, they fixed it, obviously, and they can push that out when they need. But the App Store version had this bug in it for 7 weeks, and it meant you couldn't export video. So Mike had the App Store version. I had the direct version. He had to give me all his videos so I could export them for him. So I thought that was pretty bad form, although it wasn't their fault, that was Apple. So I did a complete comparison between features, and there was probably about 3 or 4 features in Camtasia that just made the job a lot faster. So we switched. I still buy Camtasia. because ScreenFlow, because there are things that ScreenFlow does Camtasia doesn't. So if you have a need to record multiple screens, don't use Camtasia. You'd need more than one version or another app. But ScreenFlow can record any number of screens you throw at it. I don't have the need to do that, so I primarily use Camtasia. What else have we got?
Well, my reason that I prefer Camtasia is cross-platform, and I can use it to record videos for work, and then I can give work the Camtasia file.
Yeah, that is very important.
They wouldn't be able to use the ScreenFlow source file.
No, and they get very grumpy about that, don't they? Wanting source files.
They do, yeah. Next question from Patricia. Do you have a tutorial how to create a slide template with all the variety of slides?
No, I don't think I ever have done that. I've shown my template, as you can see, but no, I can quickly show you what mine looks like. You tend to, well, you do. You have a master, and then you have variations on that master. Anything I put on this one would come through to all of them. And then you've got variations. So I have a white one, I have my red, which is that one. I have a standard black one. I have a desktop one, so it is desktop. I've got the industrial one. I've got the standard after hours one. I've got the red after hours one that we use at Christmas. I've got the football one. So you can see the football one just has the line at the top, and the rest are derivatives of that. And I've got the Obsidian purple. And that's all I've got in there. But yes, put that down as something we can do in the future, Mike. I've never demonstrated that, no. Not how to do it from scratch.
Another one for the future. Would a new Canva demo be in order soon?
We did Canva only about a month ago? After Canva Create. So what we focused on was the AI aspects that they'd added all the way through it. We've not done one that's specifically on the presentations. So were you thinking in general, or were you thinking about presentations? Let me know.
That was Tracy. Tracy also says, how come you have a Dropbox icon hobnobbing on the right?
Because this file is in Dropbox. So how it works in Dropbox is when you have a file in Dropbox, that icon appears. I think you can interact with it.
You can. And you can disable it.
Oh, here we go. Right. Who viewed the file, and you can share the file, and you can all of this, all of that. Version history edited 5 hours ago. Oh yes, that'd probably be about right. This isn't tonight's presentation, is it? That is there purely because it lives in Dropbox. It lives in Dropbox because I can roll back. And this week I did have to roll back. Or was that last week? I was updating another machine and it overwrote my Keyboard Maestro macros.
I think it was this week, wasn't it?
Bad words were said. And I'm contemplating as I'm sitting there, where am I going to get a copy of that from? I did have a backup of the entire drive, but it was far faster to go to Dropbox and just roll it back. So these files live in Dropbox. Pretty much all my working files live in Dropbox, and that's what it's there. Exactly the same in Excel, wouldn't you?
You would.
I've only seen it in Word because I don't bother Excel.
I turn it off in Excel.
I've never used it for anything, but it's a comfort to know that it's there, isn't it? But that's what it's for. And it hovers and it kind of follows PowerPoint around, but not 100% at the same time. So if I were to move that window to another monitor, the icon follows along like a lapdog after it, quite slowly. But that's what it's for. That's what it means. Right, what else have we got?
That was it.
Patricia's loving the coloured dots. Canva, presentations mainly, but any brilliant hacks and quirks gladly welcome too. Yeah, we did a presentation in terms of we made the history of United with AI, and that was the best one, wasn't it?
Mm.
That one did really well. But for a standard preso, yeah, but put it down, Mike. I'll have a ponder, Tracy. We'll have a think about it. Right. Right, I think we're okay then with that.
Yeah.
I'll get rid of that. PowerPoint is, I must admit, I switched to it under sufferance. I will be 100% honest with you. It wasn't a case of like, oh, I really want to switch to PowerPoint. It was a case of Keynote's broken badly. But when I got there, there's a couple of features. It pretty much ended up like ScreenFlow and Camtasia. There was some features that were just blindingly fast by comparison to how you would have to do that in Keynote. One of them is when you're changing an image. So if I've got like 5 images, one on each slide, I will put the first one there, and then I can duplicate the slide 4 times. I can paste the image on top, just sling it on the slide, cut it, and then replace the image. So all of the border and the size and everything stays the same, but I swap the images, and it's just so fast. Because the other way of doing that in Keynote would have been that you'd have to size them to make sure they all matched. So yes, I do love PowerPoint. It quite surprised me. And I think I mentioned it last week. I was so peeved that I was still waiting for this lock feature that I opened it on Thursday night, and I thought, right, I'm going to send them a snotogram. And this was because they do read them. Microsoft are amazing. They do read them. Because I gave them feedback, they took away the shortcut to get to stock images. They took it out of the menu. If it's not in the menu, I can't hook into it fast enough with the way I work. So I wrote them a snotogram and said, not good for accessibility, not good at all. One day later, it was back. So I know they're reading it. So I thought, right, going to send them a snotogram. Where is the lock feature? Went in there, thought, best just check it's not there. Clicked the button and it was there. I'm like, whoa. So it must have come to my mind. I telepathically knew it was there. So Hindenburg. Now, Hindenburg is a quirky audio editor. So if you are used to editing music tracks or whatever, Hindenburg is not for you. Hindenburg specialises in radio journalism and podcasts. So the spoken word. And it was actually designed by a journalist in the late noughties. We've met him, haven't we?
We have.
Yeah, we have realigned his expectations, as I recall it. Oh, we made the big mistake. We were at this podcast conference and he made this big mistake because it was quite quiet at this time. So sit down, tell me how you feel about Hindenburg. 2 hours later, poor man. But he did actually, because he was the creative director, he was able to make notes, and he even picked the phone up and spoke to the developer, and there they were prattling away in Danish. So it was an amazing experience, but it is a great editor for the spoken word. Pro version 2 came out in beta in February, and we were told it might be quite a long beta program. But as I explained last week, we are there. So it was all set for release on the 25th. So it says on the 25th, it becomes Hindenburg Pro 2. Right, how you work out here, where you are at, with how much you are going to pay for an update, or how much you're going to pay, is if you do have a current product, of which there are 3. There is Hindenburg Lite, which from memory was quite inexpensive. But the problem with it was it didn't have the advanced voice features that Hindenburg Pro did. Because of that, it's ridiculous to be using that app without the advanced features, because that's why you're using the app. So the biggest feature that is in Pro that is not in Lite is the voice profiler. And what the voice profiler does, if you have some audio and you are really happy with it, so we would sit down and we would record a bit of MacBites, and both of us are feeling fit and healthy. We have no issues with our microphones or the ambience of the room. Everything is perfect. And we listen to the audio and it's like, that is perfect. Then that becomes the reference point. You feed that into the voice profiler and you leave it there. And then many weeks or months later, you've got to record something. You have the cold or flu from hell and you sound all snuffly. You just recorded, never mind how bad you sound. You then tell Hindenburg to run the voice profile, the perfect audio, against what you've just recorded, and it will fix it. And obviously it's going to do that much better because it's not generic. It's specific to your voice, your microphone, your location. So that feature is amazing. I think you had to use it once, didn't you, with a Duff microphone?
I did.
Possibly you were at work with that and you brought the audio home
Can't
and fixed
remember,
it at
probably.
home. So it wasn't even the same microphone. So that's why there is this Pro version and why it's not exactly cheap. About 2 years ago, they then introduced a subscription. So you now have two options with the Pro version. So we'll forget the light one now and look at the Pro version. People who had it before the subscription was available have a perpetual license for version 1. People who are on the subscription will notice no difference. They will just carry on paying and they'll get version 2. I am in the middle situation here. I have a perpetual license for Hindenburg PRO. I don't particularly have any desire to switch to a subscription. Jamie will understand that, won't he? Because I don't see any benefit. If there's a benefit, I will contemplate it. So I got to this page and I hit the one in the middle because it says choose your current product and they will tell you what the upgrade options are. So finally, we got some sense of what the upgrade options are. Having said that, there is still some ambiguity. Let's say that. Right. If you, again, forget the standard. You could use that. Right. So what we're looking at is Hindi Pro. If you just want to replace what you've got, your version 1 perpetual license with a version 2 perpetual license, it's $299. I said to Mike, that's alarming because they're giving you a discount of 25%, but I only paid $250 for the original. So actually I would be paying more to upgrade than I paid for the original. It was World Radio Day though, and I did get a whopping discount. I think I got 40% off it minimum. But you do have some other alternatives. So only the one on the right is a one-off payment. The $50, the $120 and the $210 are all annual. So you could have the equivalent of a perpetual license, and instead of paying $300 today, you would pay $50 per year. So the standard on the left and the perpetual on the right are identical. If you look at the ticks in the boxes and all the rest of it, the feature set is identical. Right, the two different prices that you have in the middle are including transcription hours. So this new version has the ability for you to transcribe audio, and I will show you that. You can get 20 hours per month of transcription audio for $120 a year, or 50 hours per month for $220 a year. You can also buy additional transcription hours if you need them. So if Mike and I wanted to use transcription, but it was literally twice a year, you could go for the standard or the perpetual and just buy the hours you need as you go. But you need to know that all the transcription hours only last for 30 days. So if you've got 50 hours and you've only used one, it's still going to die a death at the end of the month. They are not rolloverable. They're lightening it to minutes on a mobile phone contract, that you get a certain number of minutes included per month, but they don't roll over. Now, we do have companies in the UK where the minutes do roll over. Ours don't, because we are on unlimited minutes. So there's no point rolling over unlimited minutes. But I have seen companies that do. But that's the way it's working with this. So if you don't want any transcription, you can make a decision between paying $50 a year or $300 for perpetual. It doesn't take a genius to work out the maths on that. If I go for the perpetual, I will not reach break even with the subscription for 6 years. So what did we do, Mike? We had a look when Hindenburg was actually released. I paid $250 in 2018. So I have had 2 extra months. So mine would have been, it worked out $50 a year and 2 free months. So we were working out it's going to take 6 years on that to break even. But Hindenburg came out in 2011. So it's 12 years since the first version. So I'm tending towards the perpetual myself, on the basis I can't guarantee that subscription will stay at $50. Whereas once I've paid my $300, that's it. But I thought I'd take you through that because it can actually be quite confusing what on earth you're paying for and what you're getting for it.
Jamie says, I may have missed it, but how much are the transcription hours to pay for as and when?
You can get 10 hours for $7.50. And they go up from there. So I think the cheapest it works out at is 50 cents an hour if you buy 50. But hold on to that thought. I'm going to talk more about that.
Richard says,
there are
could you
issues.
not just play back and use a speech-to-text app?
Yes, if what you want is just a transcription. But they're kind of underselling this feature of transcription, because what the transcript it generates enables you to do is actually edit it by editing the text. So if you think about audio editing, you're usually squinting at the screen and trying to select just the bit. This will let you edit by selecting the text and just pressing delete. And that's your edit. So we've tried it. It's very impressive. It's just not the way that I edit. So on a personal level, it's not the way that I edit. I will also explain why it would be exorbitantly expensive for us. But let me show you the first. So Tuesday came around and they said, come to the party. I went to the party. I was there, credit card in hand. Oh, flipping like a goldfish on the desk it was. They got 20 minutes into it, telling us all about some extra features, last-minute additions. So I'm getting even more giddy. When they kind of apologetically slipped in that they wouldn't actually be releasing it on the release day. And I'm like, pardon? Did I just hear you right? The app is ready. What you're looking at now is the very, very latest beta. This is the final gold release. But they are having issues with the payment processing to try and get things automated. So they didn't want to release it and then have people who couldn't use it because it wasn't taking serial numbers, etc. So understandably, they've left it. What they've said now is anybody can use the beta until the end of May completely for free. So if you do want to test it, now would be a good time. Head to the site and sign up for the beta. So what we're looking at is what you see when you actually open Hindenburg Pro 2. Yours may look slightly different because I have virtually everything showing. So what I mean by that, showing, I've got markers showing. I would use the colours. This is new, the clip colours. And I do use the clipboard, which is this area on the right. This is a new panel entirely for sounds. So I have quite a lot of interface turned on. But I'm going to take you through it all. So that's what it looks like if you just say File New. But, of course, I'm editing MacBites, and it doesn't look like that because it's a lot more complicated than that. So I've got an old episode of MacBites here as a demonstration. So let me get that opened up in this. Are you thinking about it? Jolly good. Right, coming through. What was the last show? This is 164. Was that the last show?
I think so, yeah.
Could be. Right, so the difference when I'm working is I have a lot more tracks. So we have a branding track which has on it the titles and credits. Then we've got overlays and special effects. So we do have some stuff here. I don't know what I was talking about here. You were saying something and I was saying, oh, we've got an ooh. So this bit here is on the sound effects track. And elsewhere, there will be other bits on the sound effect track like this. So I do put those on a separate track. Now you might wonder why when you could squeeze that in there. You could, but basically you're talking up to it and sometimes you're talking over it on the way in. So it's on a track of its own. Then there's all my stuff on my track and all my stuff on his track. And then Siri has a track of his own, Lady Siri has a track, and sometimes we have extra bits in, which I've just called interviews, and that sits at the bottom. So we have 8 tracks per show. That's just the way that I would edit that together. And this is where it becomes naughty with the transcription. But we'll look at that when we're looking at the transcription. So why is this better for me? Well, as you can see, all of the clips that are in here, so we have one huge file that's brought in for me and another huge file that's brought in for Mike, and then it's edited, as you can see. So sometimes there's nothing on the track because I've cut this bit and moved it, and I've cut that bit and moved it, so I might as well delete the rest of it. But if there was something in here that Mike was saying that I wanted to check or something like that. Now, I think at one point in here, he was talking about the football tickets. So let's say this clip here is Mike talking about football tickets. The beauty of the colours in Hindenburg Pro 2, as opposed to any other audio editor, and I must admit, when I moved to Hindenburg, it was like everything's blue. And I use GarageBand, I use Logic Pro, I use Soundtrack, I used Adobe Audition, and every one of them allowed you to colour code the tracks. So I think Siri was pink and Lady Siri was green. I had this whole colour scheme and I instantly knew whether it was me, it was Mike, Siri or Lady Siri. But you couldn't do that in Hindenburg 1. So I got used to it. Now we've got the ability to bring colours into it, but you're not bringing them in on a track basis. If you want everything on a track to be a certain colour, you can do that. But you can also be way more granular. So if I wanted that bit with Mike, if I wanted to check something, I can just turn that red and then say to Mike, just listen to this bit, is that right? And you can go through any of these bits. So this looks like the Siri sketch at the end. So that would be a kind of pinky colour if I wanted that, just so I know which bit's which. But I think it's a great idea that it's that granular. I'm not sure to what degree I would bother colour coding anything unless it was a query like that. So I think I would use the colours in terms of like, I need to check that, or I need to put this in, I need to do something. But you can do that. Now, if what you want is to have the entire clips on a track, you could select them like that and then click whatever colour you wanted. So I think mine was blue. I can't remember what colour mine was. We'll make it something different though, like orange. So you could do that if you wanted. I think I've got over the fact of what colour the things are on the track. I think it's actually going to be more useful for me to highlight individual clips, and that is what the colours can do for you. Now, one of the huge, when I first tried Hindenburg, funny story, I'd read about it and it was like, it's perfect for podcasters. And I'm like, oh, I want to try this. But it was really expensive. And I thought, would I get any benefit from it? Because I've already got Adobe Audition. Adobe Audition is quite overwhelming in terms of the number of features and the drum tracks on it and things. And I'm never using drum tracks. So I decided I would give Hindenburg Pro a trial. And I innocently thought they might have a sale on Black Friday. So I started trying it a month before Black Friday. The first time I'm in it, I'm like, this is absolute garbage. Why would anybody use this? And it really wasn't garbage. The problem with it was there's a lot of shortcut keys for a lot of features, and about 80% of them are not in the menu. So how am I supposed to know they're there and what the shortcut key is? So it was very much that first 30 days was like, I've only got 30 days, I've got to make my mind up. And it was a real pressure. It came to the end of it and I thought, by then I'd watched 3 million videos and read the manual from cover to cover 17 times. And I'm like, this is the editor for me. But I was still sort of, would it work with my Stream Deck and other things? So it got to the last day of the trial. And I'm still umming and ahhing. And they wrote to me and offered me a 90-day trial. I thought, that's good. So I took that, which was fantastic because it meant that I could use it, all told, for 4 months. And just as it was coming to an end in the February, they always have a sale on World Radio Day on the 13th of February. So that was how come I managed to get 40% off it. And by then, of course, I was totally in love with it. But I did use it in trial for 4 months. Right. So the biggest thing, as far as I was concerned, is this area over here, which is known as the clipboard. I must admit, I still refer to it as the bin. It's a holding area that you put clips in. Now, most audio editors don't have that. You can, there's odd occasions you can put them somewhere and maybe make it slightly easier to bring them in. But what we have in the clipboard is multiple clipboards. It isn't just one area. You can see we've got general, we've got Siri, we've got sound effects, and we have extras. The extras clipboard or bin has nothing in it. They have added the ability now. You had 4 and that was it. So that's why I called it a kind of esoteric extras. I just put anything else goes in extras. But now you can add multiple clipboards. So you can go in here and you can either add another clipboard, you can add a subgroup to a clipboard. It's amazing. Love it. Absolutely love it. So how these work, the general at the top are things like the opening titles. So the opening titles are there, the credits are there, and then we've got all our stingers. Now, if you can't remember which was which, you can click on these and get a preview. I have no idea if that's playing. Go on. Which is incredibly useful with the sound effects. So these sound effects are the sound effects that we use constantly, like the U cartoon and the goblin laugh. Oh, some of the sound effects. But they've got to be done, haven't they? Got to be done. I do like the Fiesta one, but I probably shouldn't play that on YouTube. Right, so these are available for me to use when I'm editing. The alternative to that is keeping a library of them in the Finder. And what you will find is that you're like, oh, I won't bother. Oh, I could put this sound effect in, I could put that sound effect in, but you won't bother because you've got to go and find it and then import it. These are already there. And as I go through and I find one, and it's like, oh, I haven't used that in a long, long time and it's not in here, then I will actually add it in here. So you can see we've got a whole range of them in here. And it's just really simple to have them there. The Siri clips, as you see here, all of these clips, these are recorded separately, obviously, because, they're stars of the series. So these are recorded and I end up with 2 files, one for Siri, one for Lady Siri, with all the clips in the same file. I dump it on the timeline and I slice and dice them into individual bits. And they are then just thrown in that clipboard. The order that you see them in there is the order that they were actually used. So you can see it starts off with the stage manager, and then as we get there, there's the follow me, and then there's the actual full sketch at the end. This is such a time saver. If I know what Siri's saying earlier in the week, all of that work's done. And I can come in here, I can put the things on the timeline, I can cut and slice and dice them. And at the final edit, the thing that's slowing us down is then Mike and I, we haven't done our bit. Once we've done our bit, I just put those on the timeline and then drag and drop in the Siri bits as and when I want them. The huge benefit of this now that wasn't in previous versions is there's a lot of sound effects and a lot of Siri stuff. Maybe I'm working with things in the extras section. There is now a search at the top. So if I'm searching for the dun dun dun, I can just type it in, find it and drag and drop it. So if I needed to get this on the timeline, I can just drag and drop it and get it in there. And you can see it's automatically adding itself and adjusting the volume as required. Right, but that presupposes that what I want is in there, and it may well not be. That is where this sounds option at the bottom comes in. So let's say I'm saying something about barking dogs, and I need a clip of a barking dog. I mean, I've got a laughing goblin, but I don't have a barking dog. I can go into here and search, and you might think, well, what you're searching, because it's blank, you're actually searching online. So if I put dog in, you can see it comes back with animals, dog, mixed breed barking, ambience with crickets in the distance, dog barking next door, dog barking walking past. There's all kinds of different ones. So this one's a dog eating. Urban city, a wild dog, foxes, angry barking, aggressive barking, all the different kinds of barking. Unbelievable. So this is a cartoon one. So with that one, it's actually playing that from an online service for sound effects. If that's the one that I want, all I need to do again is drag it on here and it will sort itself out. I zoom into that. There it is. That is amazing, because I think searching for sound effects, you find this, don't you? The thing is, you can search stock imagery way faster than you can search video and audio, because you've got to watch it or listen to it. So that is pretty amazing. Going back to the pricing, it does say that that is included. But the $220 one that gives you 50 transcription hours says premium. So there's some kind of limit on that, and I have no idea what it is. I don't suppose you'd hit it if you were editing across days, but you might do if you were doing an intensive thing. When I find out what the limit is, I will let you know, but I've not hit it yet. So that's the sounds. Now, another thing that they've added, and this was something that I was like, I couldn't wait. Oh, I couldn't wait. It's like, oh, it's got to have this. Up till this point, we have not had the ability, you'll be shocked, to make a template. There was no concept of a Hindenburg template. So you had to create a file and an associated folder full of audio and duplicate it. Now, that wasn't a problem for me because I have an app called Post Haste. And what Post Haste enables me to do is set up what I want. So this one is MacBites Hindi. I've also got Walker's Warblings and webinars and YouTube videos and all other kinds of stuff. But let's say a MacBites. These don't matter. These are parameters that you may or may not use in here. And all I need to do is to hit Create Project and then tell it where to put it. And that's it. So it's not a proper template, but it does enable me to do even more than that. So if I go into this folder and save that, and then we go and have a look at it. So let's go and have a look at it in there. Right, it is more than just the Hindi file. That is the Hindi file, and that is its associated folder full of audio clips. But I also have a folder for the audio files and a folder for the final show. So in the audio files, there's all of the sound effects I've added in, there's the Siri clips, and there's the dialogue between Mike and I. In the show one, we've got the recording notes, the show art, the final stuff, the mail, the bounces, and the downloads. Even if Hindenburg could create a template, it couldn't add these two folders. All I would get is this. But it's a really nice feature, I thought. So I went off and I did that. I created a template. So all you actually need to do is have a file as taken as far as you want to take it. So obviously in this one, I've got chapter markers, I've got credits in it, got all kinds of stuff in there. All I need to do is go to File, and then I can save it as a template, which I did. I was amazed. No, be honest, horrified. It put it in iCloud. It put it in my documents folder and put them in iCloud. But I now go to File New. Instead of just File New and it will make me a new file, I do have the default new file, and I do have what I call MacBites at 4x. So I would change that to the number. Let's do it, because I think there's an issue with it. So no, I don't want to save any changes to what we've just been doing. And what I've now got is a new blank MacBites file. The biggest problem I think I have with that, unless it fixes itself. So let's do a save as and see if it fixes itself. Come on. No, we don't really want you to go in there, do we? We want you to go in there. Right. I'm going to name it. So I'll name this 199. Right, and put it in the root of today's folder. And what I'm checking is that it renames everything correctly. Let's have a look. Yes, it has. So this is what I've ended up with. I've got my NHSX file, which is the Hindenburg file, and this is the files that are associated with it. This and this must know where each other is, or it doesn't work, but you can see it's named it correctly. I don't have it named like that. I just call it Hindenburg files. But point being, there's now a template, which there didn't used to be. So that leaves the transcription. So I've got a file with Mike in it that we transcribed. So let's go and get the Hindi file. And Mike's transcript. Right. So why did you call it 001?
I don't know.
This is typical of you, isn't it? Right. So what Mike did was he got this file and put it on the timeline and then brought into play transcription. So in the view, no, it might not be. Hang on, let's find it. Just a minute. Just a minute. That's the wrong version of Hindenburg. No wonder it's not there. Crying out loud. Right. Oh, come on. Right. Open with version 2. Well, we won't be seeing anything at all. Right. So there it is. Same bit of audio. Now you can see that it's actually got text in here rather than just a name at this end. So this time if we go to view, there is the manuscript. So that we did not have this in anything else first. It came in here as a piece of audio. We opened the transcript and said go and transcribe that, and it did. And this is what's generated. So I'm going to move this up so you can see more of the text. It did a really good job. It was fairly accurate. The only thing that I noticed was, as you were speaking, Mike, you said something. Oh, that one there. We've also got some dates down column A, and it totally ignored the A at the end, although it's there in the audio, obviously. But the benefit of this is multifold. Right, first of all, while you're still editing it, instead of scooting along the audio and trying to find the bit that you know there's a mistake and you're trying to edit, you can do it with the text. So, if you've got this bit here, but if you do, they must be in a range, you can select that, and that selects the corresponding audio in the file, like that. So if you wanted to delete that, technically speaking, you could. So what we'll do is we'll play it first.
But if you do, they must be in a range. So I've got them in.
So let's say we want to delete it. Now, I'm not going to tweak that in any way at all because I've made the selection using the text. Once I do that, it automatically selects in the audio, and I can just press delete and it will take it away. The text will disappear from the manuscript, and technically speaking, it will disappear from in here. So I'm going to take this back a little bit, and that's the edit point. So have a listen to it as it goes over there. I can't hear this, so I've no idea how good it is, or otherwise.
Dates marked as holidays. So I've got them in A13.
How good that would actually be would depend on how well spoken it was in terms of pacing and breathing and everything like that. As I say, I can't hear it, but looking at that, I think I would be looking to take that back there and lose that breath. Possibly in here, take that down a bit as well, and I would then move that way. And you can see what's happening down here. I've selected this and it selected all of the text. If I make a selection in there of the audio, it selects the text in the bottom. You would think that this was amazing for editing audio. Do you think this is amazing? Would you do it that way?
I'm going to do it that way. I'm not used to doing it that way, so...
No, I'm not, but I can see the benefits of it.
Richard says that's really good. Richard likes it.
It's very clever. It is very clever. And depending on, I think what would happen is over time, if it's you, if you're the talent, if you're the ones doing the talking and you're the ones doing the editing, then I think you would learn over time how to speak and how to pace it, so your edit would be easier. But if you've made a mistake, sometimes you just can't get that out without re-recording it, because the in and the out point, when you've taken out the bit that's rough, you're going to have to re-speak the bit you've taken out. And you can't get the beginning or the end to match what's already there. So in Hollywood, they call it ADR, Automated Dialogue Replacement. And it's a skill in its own right. It really is. First course that I did many years ago, It's like, oh, it'll be fine. Yeah, I've got these bits to fix, but it'll be fine. Oh, it took forever. The second one I did, I thought, right, I'm going to have to work better with this. Now we've got this where you can actually highlight the text and then just delete the text. It is pretty amazing. I'll give them that. It's pretty amazing. What I think is you would probably get a neater edit if you did it the old way. But it's time, isn't it? So,
the question from Richard, can you highlight and drag and drop to move the speech?
I don't know. Let's find out.
I don't think we tried that, did we?
No. First paragraph here. So we'll grab that. No, it doesn't look like you can actually drag it. What you can do, so we'll stick to the positives first. What you can do is edit, like you've seen. Having said that, that's only half an edit. That's an edit where you've misspoken and you want to take it out. There are times that you will speak and something will be wrong and you will be unaware of it until the edit. So it isn't a case of taking something out and leaving everything else there. There's now a bit missing and you need to replace it. That's what this automated dialogue replacement thing's about. I've not tried that with it because I don't know what it would do to the transcript. You may have to reprocess the transcript for it to read in the extra bit that you've put in. But the positives of this, once you've generated this manuscript transcript thing, you are able to export it and export it in multiple formats. You could export it as just text like this, that you could put in Word and do whatever you want with. You can put it on a website, you can put it in your Notes app, which is great. Even better than that, as far as I'm concerned, is that you could export something like a video, like a 45 to 60 minute video, with that transcript turned into subtitles. And you would know that they were accurate because you've been looking at it. You'd fix any errors. So I'd put in, down column A, I'd fix it. So they would be perfect subtitles. That's the good news. It is pretty amazing. I would much rather that you could roll over the minutes, but, that it is what it is. But here's the big problem, as far as I'm concerned. If a MacBites is 55 minutes, we've got Mike, we've got me, we've got Siri and Lady Siri. The entire 55 minutes is made up of all four of us. But when it comes to transcription minutes, that is actually 4 hours. 4 times 55. Because every track needs to be transcribed separately. I was horrified. Because, Siri has maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Why am I using my credits for the other 52? Really? That's how it works. And then it got even worse than that. What you're looking at there at the top is the standard 4 tracks, but I've shown you a MacBites. There's 8 tracks. So for every 1 hour of transcription, it's actually going to cost me 8 hours if I have 8 tracks. They're saying that's just the way it works. That's how it handles it, that it takes it track by track. That for us was pretty much like, no, that's not happening. So I think if I want transcription, I think I'd buy as I went along, because I don't think I'm going to be wanting that much of it. And if I did, it wouldn't be for something like MacBites. It would probably be something that there's only me speaking and then I'm only using 1 hour for 1 hour. But a 1 hour MacBites would actually cost us 8 transcription hours. Unless I change the tracks in MacBites. But I've been editing that way for the last, 16 years. And it just works. So I don't want to make my own life more difficult, because then you're offsetting the benefits of the transcription because you're making the audio more difficult to edit. Now I've got to try and squeeze everything onto a single track, and then the pacing's off. So I don't think I'll be using it, not because it's not totally amazing. It is incredible, but not for the majority of the audio that I work with, because I don't want 8 transcription hours for every 1 hour of content. And that is the biggest downside to it as far as I'm concerned. I have heard people who do like a 2-handed podcast and they've got 2 tracks and they're pretty peeved. I thought, come and look at my edit and be really peeved. So it is a fantastic feature if what you're doing is like an audiobook or something. That's amazing. And we've tried the subtitles. They're absolutely perfect. But downside as far as we're concerned. There is one option, which is instead of using it in the edit, what we could do is wait until we have the final show, open up Hindenburg Pro, put the final show on one track, and then kick the transcription in. That's one option. I don't think it would be as good as one speaker because you would have somewhere between 2 to 4 speakers as far as we're concerned. It's going to expect one person from one track. I haven't tried that yet. Might be something that we should try over the weekend, Mike. Well, we've still got these free transcription minutes. The free transcription minutes are free while it's in beta. It's after that you need to contemplate paying for it. So we've done the majority of the testing. We've not tested that last thing. And I only discovered that, I mean, it never occurred to me that 55 minutes of audio wouldn't be 55 transcription minutes. But now I know that from this week, then I will go and I will test that and I will let you know. So do we have any questions on that?
We do. Richard's got another question. Could you copy and paste? Will it duplicate the speech? If so, you could move it that way.
Let's have a look. I don't think it does at the moment. This is very, very basic at the moment. Let's put that there. And let's get down to the bottom of there. Can I paste in? Well, it says I can paste. It looks like I can. Yes. Heaven knows what that's done up here. It should have duplicated it. Yes, it has. So yes, you can. You can do that. It would be amazing. I think if you spent enough time with it, it would be amazing. In terms of having, like, you could have a library of stuff that you say. A bit like we have the library of the sound effects and the Siri clips. You could have a library of things that you say, like column A, and you could just punch them in. I don't know where we're going in relation to AI generating voices. As I heard it this week, I've heard 2 cases this week, which are quite terrifying, where somebody has received a phone call and the phone call is from like a child or a parent saying that they've had an accident and they're in desperate need of help. One was actually worse than that, because then a guy came on the phone and said that he had this woman's daughter. And the woman could hear her own daughter in the background crying and screaming and asking for help. And the thing was, it wasn't genuine. It was an AI automated voice. So anybody that can get a sample of your voice, and you know, Mike, you, me, not tricky, hours and hours of it to go at on YouTube, they could synthesize your voice and make you say anything. So why that's important, maybe we wouldn't even have to record anything in the future. Maybe we'd only have to type it and then train the AI to use our voice. So I really, we're only at the very beginning of this kind of editing, really at the beginning. That is something that I need to look into. The way around it, because it was terrifying for this poor mother, the way around it is to have a keyword, a code word between you and your family that only you and your family know. And then if somebody does come on the phone and say they've got whatever and they're playing like a voice and you think it is your son, daughter, whoever, you just quite blasé say what's the code word, and if they don't know, then obviously it's a scam. Scary stuff out there, isn't it? All right, what else have we got question wise?
Patricia says, does this do tracking with a video or a PowerPoint voiceover, or is it just an audio program? If it's just an audio program, what's the king of video? Tried Luma Fusion on my iPad, but it's so small for my eyesight.
Does this do tracking with the video? Right, this version does support video. Only one video per audio track, but it can do video as well. What that would end up looking like, I don't know, because I haven't actually tried that. Voiceover, or is this an audio only? It's not a video editor, but it will open a video file and let you edit the audio. So if previous comment is the king of it, what's the king of video and audio clip stitching? Anything that you've got a timeline on. So anything from iMovie all the way through to Final Cut Pro. Pretty much both ScreenFlow and Camtasia offer very good non-linear editors. I would say that I find both of them better than Final Cut Pro, because Final Cut Pro constantly needed to reprocess before it could play. It would drive me mad. So both ScreenFlow and Camtasia have added the ability. They've got LUTs in there and all kinds of stuff now. So I would say one of those. There are cheaper options, and there's free options. LumaFusion, as you're saying, on an iPad. On the desktop, there was Filmora, but then there was the fracas with that. And the other one is DaVinci Resolve, which is free. So I'd start with the free one, and I only move on if you're limited in some kind of way.
She's just mentioned that in the chat.
Yeah, I wouldn't really. I don't think there would be a need to move on from DaVinci Resolve, not unless you had very, very specific or advanced requirements. So start with that because it's free. What else have we got?
She says, have you tried DaVinci Resolve 18 free or pro?
No, because I'm the type of video that I work with mostly is screen recording. So I'd have to re-encode it sometimes. If like Final Cut, you'd need to reprocess it a million times. So because it's mainly screen recording that I'm working with, and both Camtasia and ScreenFlow can handle standard video as well as screen recording, I might as well stick with those. They have both been improved immensely to handle standard video. And I then have the benefit that I don't then have to move from app to app. So unless I was working on something that I cannot imagine what, I would have no need to try anything beyond that. I have Final Cut, I've got Premiere Pro, I've used all of those, and it's faster, far faster for me to use ScreenFlow or Camtasia.
Patrick says he uses Otter for audio to text, but this way is much more granular.
Otter's fantastic if what you want is a transcript of it, and you could take that. I mean, I've got that. It's pretty decent, but it's not hooked up to the video or the audio. You can press play and it will highlight it as it goes, but this is specifically for editing the audio with it. So if that is what you want to do, maybe, I might warm up to this for a single-handed course. I don't know. But I still think, yes, you can do it, but there are times I've taken out fractions of a word. We're not even talking like a noise or something. I remember I stuttered in a word, and I should have remembered that I'd done it and stopped and said the word again, but I didn't. So it was kind of stopped was sort of what I said. And in Hindenburg, you can zoom in to alarming level. So if I'm there and I want to zoom in, you might think that's close. No, you can go into this level. And a stutter like that would probably be something like that. And I literally took the stutter out. You can be that precise with it. What this would find, so it says in B5, and it's that there is the B bit. I don't think it would show you the stopped. I think it would just say stopped in here, and you'd have to go in yourself. But I am used to doing that, and I do have this hooked up. As I've said, it's very limited in terms of shortcut keys, but I do have it hooked up to work with my Stream Deck. So my Stream Deck is on the left-hand side, and I am manipulating Hindenburg. I've got my right hand on the mouse to move the mouse, but my left hand has got access to all of the features via the Stream Deck. So I'm pretty fast editing to start with, but I can see potential benefits, and it's only going to get better. This is just the first iteration of it. So yeah, I agree. It is an incredible piece of kit with what it can do. I would say it is more accurate than Otter. But Otter, minutes and minutes, then they're not multiplying them. If I run a MacBites through it, it's not 8 hours, it's 1. And again, Otter will improve as well. And I heard of another one this week called Notty.ai, and it looked like Otter. And I thought, good, because Otter are putting the prices up considerably. So more competition, you've got options. So what else have we got?
Well, that's it.
Right, okay.
Right. I used LumaFusion on the iPad for lockdown daily videos, and occasionally used DaVinci Resolve when doing a big one. Getting Camtasia has meant I virtually stopped using the other two apps.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes you can have too many features that, yes, you might need them for a specific job, but on a daily basis, I remember I had Final Cut Pro. I remember buying that in a box. Do you remember? I waited because I was getting a business discount on a laptop. So it was September 2006. And it was when it was in a box. And we did actually weigh the box, and it was 3.5 stone, which is, what's that in pounds?
A lot.
14, 28, 42. No, about £45 worth of manuals in weight. It was unbelievable.
Very expensive as well, wasn't it?
It was. It was about £1,000. Yeah. But you did get all of the manuals, which is... The manuals are still relevant today. You know, they don't give you manuals anymore. But, you know, everything in Final Cut Pro took longer than it actually did in the end with ScreenFlow or Camtasia. So most of the stuff... I can't remember the last time I needed anything beyond Camtasia, to be honest. I'd only need ScreenFlow if I was recording multiple screens. And ScreenFlow does record better from a webcam than Camtasia does. They were supposed to have fixed that about 3 versions back, and it's still like a pea soup fog, isn't it? So if I'm recording, if I do an unboxing, I'll get jammy giddy. If I'm doing an unboxing, I will be recording that into ScreenFlow. And I will take it out of ScreenFlow in the highest quality and then take it into Camtasia and finish the edit in there. That's just the way I work. Right. Okay. Let's come out of there then. Talking of Camtasia, as we were. Right, I'm not saving that. Away we go. And Camtasia 2023. So, not surprising, it was due in April. I think it was due in April last year. I think it was last year that they slipped. They like to get Camtasia out in April and Snag It out in September. So there's like 6 months between them. So it came out on Tuesday, and there is an entire range of new features. In keeping with the weirdness of Hindi, come to the launch party. Whoa, we're not launching. Yes, there's the tweet. It's here. Camtasia 2023 helps anyone create incredible video. Notice the little message at the bottom. As I was reading it, it disappeared. I'm like, what? Why they do this, I have no idea. But literally, that disappeared from under me as I was reading it. They waited about another hour and then put something else out. But in that hour, I was able to go to my account, download 2023, get my new license key, and I was off and running. So I don't know why they do things like that. They just like to play with my mind, don't they? So let's have a look at some of the new features. Right, I am using Camtasia right now, but I'm not using 2023. What I am doing is, what am I using? 2021 to record it, which means as I go in here, you can see I now have all of these. So there's my Camtasias. I've got 2020, 2021, 22 and 23. I leave them there for one reason, and that is something I've just mentioned, which is you can only record one screen with Camtasia. But if you have multiple versions of Camtasia, they're all happy to run at the same time. So I could record 4 screens if I wanted, recording each one with a different version of Camtasia. Right. I will open 2023. Oh, come on. And the first thing is they've made this welcome dialog box when it finally appears. They've made this, they're just like overloading it, honestly. The kind of stuff that they are doing is amazing with it. Not to see it. So I see this. This is an option. So this is the recorder. And you can see in here, this is where you specify. So at the moment, we're talking about recording on the main screen. And we are talking about recording one screen. If you go into here, you can see you've got the built-in Retina, my left screen and my right screen. You can choose a region if you want. If you have mobile devices attached, via a cable in particular, they will show up as well. But you only have the one drop down. So you can only record either a mobile device or one of your built-in monitors or an area. You can specify the recording area if you want. You can see it getting bigger behind us as we go through. I never record a region, ever. My rationale for that is I can always crop something out, but I can't record something that appeared in the wrong place. So I never do that. So the rest of that dialog box, everything beyond my left screen, my right screen, no, I never even look at it. That's what you've got in there. Then you've got video that you can record. And then you have audio that you can record, and you can record system audio. Now, system audio is not the same thing as audio because this is using a microphone. But if you wanted to record something, say you were demonstrating Hindenburg in a video, you would need to hear the sound from Hindenburg, and you wouldn't want to be using the microphone to pick that up, and that's what the system audio enables you to do. I very seldom use that, if ever, because I have Audio Hijack, and it's actually using the Audio Hijack component to do it. So I might as well do it in Audio Hijack, where it's separate in case it crashes, and I can pipe it somewhere, I can record it twice, I can do all kinds of things with it. So that is your record dialogue. You just hit record and it will start recording. But that's in. Right, let's get rid of you, which gets rid of the ready brec, the green thing all around the screen. What you do have is, when are we going to see this? Because I changed it. Let me go into here. And we don't want to check for that. We want to go into preferences. Right, so on startup, show the recorder. That's what I have that set to. But you could also choose to open the editor or see the whole thing. So if I set that back to home, which I do believe is the default, and I close it and then we reopen it. So let's go back in there to 2023. We should see this dialog box, which gives us lots and lots of information when it finally cranks up. Good grief. And it's on the wrong screen. Right, there we go. So this used to be very simple, and they've added a lot to it. So initially you get to choose whether you want a new project, whether you want a project from a template, whether you want to open an existing project, or whether you want a new recording. Recent projects should be shown in here. I've no idea why they're not. Having said that, I installed the 0.2 update, so that's probably reset it. But recent projects appear in here. As we go down here, you then have featured assets. So you've got free collections here, starter collections. Some are premium. So this is a premium collection and they are paid for extra. But you've got quite a few free ones. For reasons best known to themselves, they've got this scrolling side to side. So you can see this in here as well. So there's a lot that are free, but they do tantalise you with some stuff that isn't free. So that's the featured assets. Then you've got the free assets. So this is concentrating on only free assets. So there's lots of things that are in there that you can go play with as well. And then there is the premium assets. And the reason that I don't have the premium assets, they are quite expensive. My maintenance for Camtasia is less than £40 a year, which is stunningly cheap when a full license is £300. But they charge through the nose for the assets. So I haven't partaken of anything other than the free assets. So that's what we have in there. You do have access to your templates from here. Your templates are read in. So these came from the last version, 2022, and they were all read in. So that's the home option. Then you've got the learn option. And this talks you through various things. So this is your quick start guide where you can literally step through it and it will give you the very basics in 5 steps. But then you've got access to the tutorials as well. So you can click on this and go and view the tutorials. There are webinars that they run about once a week. There's certification as well. So if you're on maintenance, you get access to certification. So every year I need to get recertified in it. And then they do challenges that you can sign up to. So you'll get an email every day for 5 days. The academy is where all their courses are. or you can follow along with a project. So there's a whole range of learning materials in there. Then there's support. So these are the options that you have for support. And then finally on the left, there's the what's new. So it will talk you through what is new. All of the stuff in here that I am about to show you in there. Right, the other thing that you will find in here is it will ask you to log in. So you can see this is my email address. And it shows you if you are a maintenance subscriber. And this will show you the benefits of maintenance. The benefits mainly are not paying through the nose every time there's an update. So maintenance you pay once a year. You could say it because it says maintenance subscriber, doesn't it? And that sounds like a subscription. But I consider it not necessarily a subscription because you are saving so much. If I'm paying £38 and I'm getting something that if I were to need an upgrade, so literally for me, if I'd have bought Camtasia 2022 and I was looking to upgrade now because I didn't take maintenance, you're looking at about £150 to £180. If you take maintenance, it's 38. So it's a total no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. And I don't have to think about, is it up to date? Do I need this? Do I need that? I think you'd be particularly aggrieved if you bought 2022 and you now need to buy 2023 because it was only 10 months since 2022 was released. That's not long. But that's what it means, maintenance. And the maintenance for Snagit's even less than that. Wasn't it about £12? Again, it was totally ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Having said that, if you are a Mac user, you may not want to buy or fiddle with that at all. If you buy direct from Camtasia, from TechSmith, you get 2 installs, 2 active installs. For somebody in Mike's position, that means he can put it on one Mac and his Windows box. What does he do on the other Macs? And you would need separate licenses. If you buy from the App Store, it's £179.99. So it's cheaper to start with because a full license is £300. It's £179.99 and you can install it on as many Macs as you like. So if you're a Mac user, you may choose a different route. Both Mike and I may have the need to put it in on Windows. So we bought direct from them. I do have several versions from the App Store. And whether I would buy this one from the App Store will depend on the operating systems I'm installing it on. If my 2020, 2021 and 2022 all work on the operating systems, I'll probably leave it. Because all I do is record on other machines. This is the only machine I edit on. So that's it for this dialog box. Right, let's go in and have a look at some of the excitement. So I probably can't do it for you. I never do this. We'll go new project. Because I never see this dialog box like you. You saw me have to turn it back on. Oh dear me, come on. Shouldn't have updated it, should I? 2 seconds to go. Right, there we go. It looks no different at all, to be honest. But there is a big change here. If I go into the library, you do have user libraries. So I have a default user library. But it's always worthwhile checking when you have a new version, the Camtasia 2022, 2023, whatever it is, library. Because all of the stuff in here is completely free. So you've got clapping and stomping and drama and hip hop and all kinds of things in here. You also have channel kits. So these are for YouTube, I do believe. So subscribe vertical. Let's drag that on. See what a subscribe vertical is. Right, take it up a bit so we can see the bottom. Right, get it on there and move through. So these are things, overlays that you can put on your own videos completely free. So let's read that one. There is a boxy subscribe there. So let's put that one on. And you see that. Now the thing with something like this is, obviously that says TechSmith on it. Right, you would probably have it down here. But you are able to change all of this. So this is a group, and one way to change it is to click the plus and look at all of the stuff inside it. So you've got the brand at the bottom and then the text and other tracks. Way to work. So if we go zoom in so we can see it a bit better. Right, with it selected, if you look up here, you have the Boxy Subscribe properties. You could change the theme on it and you can change the brand. So if I wanted to change that, put my name on it, I can do that. I can change all of this. So whatever that is, I want to change that. And that's the brand background. So let's change that as well. And here's the body background. So if I wanted that, a different colour, I could do that without going in and having to select the individual elements and start tinkering with them. So do always check the library. Some of the stuff that's in there is pretty amazing. Some of these I used, there were countdowns. So it will actually count down and you get to change the speed and stuff like that. So I've used those before today. Now, there are now some new things in here. So as well as things that you may have seen before, there are new things in here. So we've got cursor clicks. You can actually see a big click if you want to see that. All kinds of things. I'm going to show you this when we look at the cursor though. So those things are in there. Other things like dynamic backgrounds and hand-drawn stuff. So we'll come back and look at those. But basically check the library out. They have put a lot of effort into the cursor. They're very proud of this. I was on a call with them a while back. Do you remember that call, Mike? And when I came off, you said, oh my God, there it is. I'll be ringing. Well. I was like, well, you could do this, and you could do this, and you could do this. And ScreenFlow did that. And then I used to do this. And they were like, okay, thank you. Because we started off with, are you a power user? And they were very much, there, dear. You're a woman. There, dear. Everyday sex isn't much. And by the end of it, it was like, oh. But they did. They listened. I mentioned that you could change the cursor. So what I've got here is a file, don't disappear, that I've called mouse. So I'm going to bring this on and show you. And instead of trying to get this keyed up properly, get it lined up on the canvas, forget that. Just hit these two things on the side here, the resets, and it puts it bang in the middle. So what I've got on here is a fairly short 25 seconds, but let's watch it. Not here, but let's watch it and watch the mouse. And at this stage, that's really tiny, isn't it? That is quite tiny. Although I did record that at the right res, it's 1920 by 1080. Because I'm broadcasting at 1920 by 1080, it's quite small. So you have the option in here on the mouse track that you can scale the mouse so people can see it. So you don't have to record it like this, which was your only option a couple of years back. And that to me was a real pain. I don't want to record it in a format that some people will not like. They don't like the mouse pointer that big. I don't like watching the mouse pointer that big. But if I could do it in post, I could create two different versions of it. And now I can do it in post. That's exactly what I would do. So having upped that to 500 odd %, if you now watch it, it's very clear where the mouse is. So I'm moving it up and down. I think I click at some point as well, which we can't actually see there, but you see the mouse pointer moving up and down. Right, so that's showing you that you can change the mouse pointer in terms of size. You can also change it in terms of opacity, and I think we do need that a bit bigger, don't we? But you can change that. So if you want the mouse to disappear, if you've got an edit and your mouse pointer's on the left and when it springs back it's on the right, just take the opacity down to nothing and then bring it back up and no one will notice. Right, but you can also change the cursor. And so in here, you've got recorded cursors. So what it's saying is, use the recorded cursor. Got Mac system cursors, so you could choose that. And in there, you could totally change it. So your mouse pointer will still move in exactly the same way, so going backwards, but it's not the recorded mouse pointer. We can change that to anything you like. I mean, I know it's just too good, isn't it? But it gets even better than that. You those cursors. So if I was doing a video for one of the Affinity apps, and it had the mouse pointer for the Mac, but I'd made it full screen, I could actually change it to the Windows pointer and it would look like it was on Windows. You've even got the spinning thingy of death. I don't know what that's called on Windows anymore. But these are all Windows options.
Donut of Doom.
The Donut of Doom, that's it, isn't it? Not the spinning beach ball. Right, in there you also have, and these have been provided free of charge in this version, you have neon curve options. So you can really change these to something that you would like them to be. And anything that you could do with the others, you can do with this. So these are the neon collection. There's a particularly good one in here for Mike, which is that one, which is the, that's not a Donut of Doom, is it? It's a cornet of ice cream. Oh, I think it's totally bizarre, but you know, see when I would use that other than a gimmick, but there you go. You also have a hand-drawn collection. So these just look a little bit more rustic, I would say. Hand-drawn. Why are you not changing? Come on. All right, now let's go and get that one there. There we go. So just not quite as formal. So if you are making a certain type of video, that might work well. That might work well. And then you could actually make your own as well. Right, so that's it for replacing the cursor. But the other thing that you can do, let's get this back. So we'll get this back to its proper cursor, which was the one that was recorded, which was that one. Right. One of the best things they've done, because when you're making videos, you want to try and make, I mean, number one thing to avoid, I had this in a session today and I was twitchy. Don't draw around something with the mouse. It's annoying. So if I was saying to you, these are the mouse options over here on the right, who's seen somebody do this? Drives me insane. Is it really too much trouble to do that and say that area there? And people will say to me, yes, because I can't remember the shortcut keys. Well, you're not doing your job very well then, are you? So today I had somebody pointing at something on the screen and whizzing around it like that. Does that annoy you? Obviously not as much as me.
No, because I've done it myself.
No, you need to learn how to do it properly. I mean, if you think it's difficult doing a video like that, imagine doing it live. Everything in here, I can do it in post, but I'm live. So I have to be able to highlight stuff live. It's not that difficult, but people do that kind of thing. The other thing that people find very difficult is you're moving a mouse. So imagine you're doing a recording and you're moving a mouse and your hand slips and the mouse moves off down here and you need it back up there. And it looks messy. It really looks messy. So this recording that I've done, I deliberately moved that mouse all over the place. Look at it. Don't do that. Reason, which was we now have the ability over here to edit the cursor path. So I'm going to make that a little bit smaller and click edit the cursor path. Right. What I did was move it from over here to over there, going up and down in like a Jaws formation. Your first option is just to simplify the existing path. You can, in here, create a completely new path, but let's simplify the existing one and continue. So what we've got there, you can actually visualize the movement and you can edit it. So if I wanted it to go from here to there, we don't really need that bit down there, do we? So we could take that point away completely. We could also, with that point, just click it and delete it. And now we're left with a smooth curve. We could even, in here, so let's click on that bit, smooth that out even more because it's going to work like a Bezier. So can we move that there? Are you going to move? There we go. So I might, with that, need to jiggle around with them. I'm taking that up there. That's a much smoother curve. So if we watch that, I think we might have to take that further back. Let's move it to there. And it's visualising the whole thing. And you see how much smoother that actually is. I haven't had the need to use that up to now, but I can imagine that you would. So as I've said, sometimes you're recording a video and your mouse slips and you think, ah, and you have to try and take it back to where it was and do it again, because otherwise it would look really messy in the video. And that is why they've added this. This is the conversation I had with them when I was saying what I'd like to see added, and they were mortified. At the time, they had nothing like this. My need for it arose when I was forced to record video at 1280 by 720 for a course for Pixelmator. I would never have recorded it at that size, but they insisted. And the problem was the mouse pointer just disappeared. I was unaware of it disappearing. It disappeared in the recording. So I had a path that the mouse had moved, but I couldn't see the pointer. Luckily, back then, and this was 12 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, I think, ScreenFlow had the ability to swap out the mouse pointer. The reason that was important was if it hadn't recorded anything other than the movements, it hadn't recorded the mouse pointer, I could just say use this mouse pointer instead. And it worked brilliantly. So it salvaged the entire video. And that's why I talked to them about it. And they've taken it a step further now in terms of how you can actually move the mouse. So personally speaking, I walk and talk at the same time. I'm used to going live. Other people are less so, so they voice their videos later and therefore may need to smooth out the mouse to make it move a bit faster. And that is what all of this is about. You can see here that you can edit. So as you are over these, you can see all of this. So you could smooth out all of that. Select it, delete it, select it, delete it. And that mouse pointer would now move much more smoothly. But we only want it to go from there to there. So we could just delete these. So if I move this, get it out of the way, and select that last point, you can see how much easier that is. And selecting these, you can really straighten that out. So you need to understand how a Bezier works, but that is much, much smoother than it would have been before. That's why I recorded it like a sawtooth design. Now it's moving a lot slower. You may then need to speed it up, but you now have all of these options. So that is editing the cursor path. You can change the cursor, as I've said, and you can now visualize the cursor on the timeline. So every click is there as well. You can see that as well. So huge benefits there. Now, I talked about the library, and I'm not seeing anything there, but we have got the ability to go and look at more assets. So if I go download more assets, it's going to open up a browser window, which I will bring on and let you see. So let's take that out. Do you not want to come out? You know you do, really. Right. So let's bring that on so you can see it. Clicking on that takes you through to this. And one of the things that they've added is useful with these device frames. So there are 6 types of assets. These are the customizable ones, and then you've got videos and you've got images and you've got audio as well. What I'm interested in here is the device frames though. Now, as I go into it, I have device frames, and some of them have a starter label on them, like that one. Oh, that was an Apple II, that, isn't it? I had one of those at work. Not all of these are free. So if you take the tick out of premium and then say apply, you will see exactly what is free and what is not. So I'm going to go for this one here. You can see it's saying device frame, send to Camtasia or download it. I'll do a send to Camtasia. Heaven knows if that'll work or not. Let's see if it works. Wants to open it. Yes, that's fine. We'll have that. And it should add that into the library or actually open it, one or the other. It doesn't look like it's done either, does it? And I don't see device frames as being listed here. Right, what we'll do with that, can't tell whether that's actually worked or not, is we'll do the download. So downloading it, we'll download it as a separate file, which is great for backup purposes. So that should have downloaded into the downloads. Do not let me down. Do not let me down. Right, it's actually there. So I'm going to double click it from my downloads folder and hopefully something will happen. There we go. It did seem to be doing something. We'll overwrite it. I don't know where it is. I don't know where you've... Oh, failed to add it. Oh, be awkward then. This is part of my demo. Don't do this. I have no idea which one of these it would be in. Let's have a look. Try smart. No, it's not in there. Okay. We don't actually need any of their stuff to do this. We can do it without. So we'll do it the old-fashioned way. So I'm going to make a new project. New feature. This feature is brand new. You have been able to do this sort of extent that you can now. So I'm going to show you a basic way. So I have a very ropey photo, but it'll do. Right, just that. Picture of a phone. Right, come on. Let's drag you in. Right, I'm not going to particularly be that worried about this. What I need is this phone on the left. Now, obviously, this is a very old image, isn't it? That looks like an iPhone 7, but it'll do. Right, we've got these two devices here. Let's say we wanted to showcase a video running in these devices. So I have my shorts videos, so they should be reasonable enough to work with. They're only a minute long. And they're vertical video. And if I could pick it up and bring it in here, come on. You know you want to. Right. In there. Oh, good grief. You shouldn't be doing that. Don't do that. Right. We'll do whatever you need to do. But this here is my video. We move along, you can actually see it. And there's my video. Now, at the back of it, you can see the image. So if we move, we can see something in the video. Right, all we need to do is move this into place. So it'd be easier on this one because we can see the black bits. You have been able to do this for the last few versions. As long as what you've got is straight. So what we've not been able to do is anything clever with it, but we could put that there. We could like that. And we could and it might play a little bit rough because it's doing a lot, but there is the video running inside a device frame. That's what we've been able to do up to now. But the problem comes when you've got an image that you need to work with. So I have another image here that I will bring in, where the device that you're working with most definitely is not straight. So this could be a laptop screen, could be an iMac tilting backwards or tilting to the side, but whatever it is, it's most definitely not straight. And there was nothing you could do. The old version, there was no way that you could kind of say, can we twist this? In graphics apps you can, but obviously not in Camtasia. So let's get that on there a little bit better. Oh, it's flying all over. Oh, come on. Right, stay there. So we've got that video that is keyed up to that one. We'll use that. So I'll bring this on, but this time I'm bringing it over here. So it's sitting on top of this other one, or it would. It's going really slow now. I'm annoying it. Let's add it to the timeline at the playhead. Right, so obviously this needs to go the full length of that video. Let's bring that over. And we will move the playhead so we can actually see something on the video like that. But our chances of getting that onto this phone were slim to non-existent. You can move it around, you can scale it, you can rotate it, but you would still really struggle to get to the right place. You now have a completely separate mode. So up here, where we are using the mouse pointer at the moment, we have this, which is corner pin mode. It's put a pin in each one of these corners, which means we can grab this one, and that would be over there, and grab that one, move it up to the top left, And this is struggling. Why are you struggling? You were working before. I'll do it bit by bit rather than it think I want to flip it over, which I don't. So let's move that bit into this corner. Not quite that far. That bit there. I'm not going to be... Oh, come on. Really? My mouse is having a moment. Now is not the time to have a moment. Right, let's grab that one. Take that up to there. You're not picking up, are you? That's better. This works far better when you're not running 3 versions of Camtasia and trying to live broadcast. So it might look a bit slow, but normally it's not. Right, so let's get that in place. It's a really awkward angle for that. And I did not want you to do that. Let's try that again. It's got sticky mouse syndrome. Right, stay there. I know perfect would be bringing it in a bit, but never mind. Right, you've got the gist. And when you play it, you are playing that video inside wherever you have overlaid it. That, personally, to me, is the biggest thing that they have added to this. I can see lots of opportunity for video billboards and all kinds of stuff with that. And indeed, in this case, a short playing in... In fact, it's nothing special either. It's not a dynamic anything. It's just a still image that I've actually just overlaid that on the top. And it's playing nicely at the right angle. Okay, so that is corner pinning mode. That's completely new. You will find that at the top. A couple of other things that they've put in. So I am going to get rid of these. We're not going to save anything. I think it's struggling enough as it is. So let's get rid of that one as well and start completely from scratch. These, to me, the next lot, are kind of niceties, but, you know, then they are nice to have. So let's get a new project and look at some of the effects that we've got. So we have here... Let's look in the library again. So in the library, in this one, we have dynamic backgrounds. So if I bring on one of these, like a lava lamp, right, and we put that there. These are dynamic in terms of 2 things. So let's get that to the right size and play it. Right, so we got this colour in the background and we've chosen it from there. But if we look down here, we have dynamic properties. And we have 4 colours, and they are obviously the colours that you can see on there. So if you would like that purple to be red, like that, you can change that. You could change this blue to pink. This is going to look terrible, isn't it? And this one that's orange, I might want that one to be the more gold. There we go. So it's totally different. Dynamic in terms of you brought it on, it's not an image. It's something that they have exposed the properties to that you can change up here. Right, you can also in here, I've got these, you can move these around. And so if you want to change it where you've got that down here, again, it's quite slow moving because I've got so much going on. But 2 ways that you can change it. Change the actual colours. What are you doing? Change the... I'm not moving. I am not moving. You want me to click to let go of it? Right. So I've got the colours that I can actually choose, and I've got the points where they actually appear on here. So that is dynamic backgrounds. One of the other things that I think is pretty cool, I predict Mike will be using is there is a thing called a Lottie file. Who's heard of a Lottie file? Lottie, a Lottie file. I have downloaded some Lottie files. Lottie files are now supported. So I've got some, I think I had some hand-drawn things. Let's start with a hand-drawn one. So I've downloaded some files. Lottie files are made with Adobe After Effects and used inside Camtasia. So what I've downloaded, these hand-drawn ones, as you can see, I get lots of different file formats, and one of them actually says Lottie. But while they are all actually Lottie files, hand-drawn doodles, there is a JSON file, and the JSON file is the one that you want. So in here, I dragged one of these. I think I put it over a background, but we'll bring that in. I have no idea what it is. We're not going to see anything with this because my background is black and so is my hand-drawn thing. But just like the dynamic backgrounds, you've got these dynamic properties. We have in here colour, and instead of having it at black where we can't see a thing, well, we can actually, it's not quite black, is it? But what we can do is change anything you want. And so if I knew that my annotations were going to be like this colour, I can make it that colour, and I play it, you'll see the animation. Not much, well, it does draw itself out, doesn't it? The one I had, and I can't tell what these are in the Finder. It gives me no clue. It's quite exciting. I wonder what that one is. The one I had was a circle. Don't do that. Right, that I want you to move. To move to there. Yeah, you can see that speech bubble be drawn on. But it would make much more sense to have that in a red. So the hand-drawn ones that I've got, I would actually use, and I think Mike has used stuff like this, haven't you?
Yeah.
There are some built in Camtasia, but by supporting Lottie files, they've given you the option that you can use them from third-party suppliers now. But they don't just have to be like things that are drawing round stuff like that. And Kim's sold already. Just wait till you see the next bit, Kim. Some of the other things that I have downloaded are not just hand drawings. So I think I went into 2, but let's have a look at 1 and get into the JSON folder. And I've got a range of Christmas things. So I have this one, which is a Christmas letter. Did that actually get dropped in? Let me drop it on the timeline. It's getting very upset with me. Right, let's put it on the timeline and click on it. There we go, Christmas letter. Now, why is that important? Sometimes there's animation on them, sometimes there isn't. Let's see what's going on here. You really want to play, come on. Yep, we got animation on it as well, right? But you disappeared then. Right, stop, let's get back to the letter. Right, so these are in essence exactly the same as the annotations that just draw around. But look what we've got over here on the dynamic properties. Any colour of them can be changed. So if you wanted to say, for example, it's a red letter day, you take this colour, click it open and change the colour of it. Now obviously you're going to need to change other colours to match that, but that would work. That would work. So I'll get this one that looks like, no, it looks like that one's the darker one. Right, let's get that again, but we'll make it a slightly different tone, like that. Anything that's there, you can change. So if we wanted this ribbon that we've got in the dark green to be yellow, we can move that down, and hopefully I'm on the right colour. There we go, going up to yellow. So you can recolour all of these things without knowing After Effects. It can all be done in Camtasia. So these are the kind of things that they're adding that make this a general video editor. It doesn't have to be for screen recording. For me, it's beneficial that all of my editing gets done in something like this because I'm already using it for my screen recording. So those are just a handful of the things that they have added, the ones that are important. So there is a site to get some Lottie files and try them out called lottiefiles.com. These that I've got I downloaded from Envato. So I had no idea that Envato had these things, but they did. So I'm loving these, particularly the Christmas ones. I can now predict in my shorts I'll have lots of these things, and this is why. But it just gets better and better. There have been 2 updates since Tuesday, so they are, when they're finding issues with it being a brand new version, they are fixing them pretty quickly as well. So do we have any questions on that?
No, Kim says she's sold.
Yes. It is very, very, and as I say, this is the one thing that maintenance I don't think twice. I literally don't think twice. They could easily charge twice as much, to be honest. It's good that they don't. I think their issue is they're updating every year, and they know they are, and they know that people won't update. So if they make it the equivalent of like updating once every 2 years, people will update, and the knock-on effect for them, which should be a benefit, is that fewer people are using old versions, which means their support costs are lower. But that is right. If we got no questions on that, let's get back into there. Right, freebies. I've got some freebies. Wrinkle free paper. Well, no, actually, free wrinkle paper. You're getting wrinkles. If you've no idea how to use these, let me know, and I'll do a demo of them. But I love stuff like this. It enables you to age standard photos by using them. I think we did a demo, not with wrinkled paper. I think we did it with snow, with some dogs a couple of years ago. And it was a freebie in the Advent thing. So this one is slightly different. But there you go. I'm just noticing as I'm looking at this that your slide for your Excel's vanished.
Did it?
I've no idea why that happened.
Oh, shall I not do my demo then?
Oh no, we need to do your demo. Right, we'll make that happen. Oh, this is actually probably a good demo that I'm doing that you are totally unaware of. Right, I discovered that presenting with PowerPoint, it takes 2 screens. And the third screen is blank. So that was fine as far as it went. Then I realised, it's a Premier League dashboard, wasn't it? That you can actually have the interface of PowerPoint sitting there looking at you, and you can edit the file. So we got Premier League dashboard there added, and I can cut straight from that, so that's fine. So I will just do that, which is saving it. And then technically speaking, I'll be able to go into it. It's the wrong side of that, but never mind, that'll do. So I've actually edited that PowerPoint file while you were still watching. Into Mike and his Premier League dashboard. Right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Right, and I can see everything on here. Away you go.
Shall I start then? Okay. I'm going to split this over a couple of weeks, I think. So the first week is going to be preparation, and then the second week is building the dashboard. So before I can build the dashboard, I do need some data. There are plenty of websites with Premier League related data, tables, etc, etc.
And don't forget the one that you showed the other week.
Which one I showed the other week?
Raycast has Premier League data. Just type Prem.
Oh, right.
See, okay. He's forgotten.
And can I get that into Excel from Raycast?
Yes, if you use the AI.
Oh, okay. I might give that a go. Anyway, I usually use the BBC website for the league table, but I was actually looking for more than just the league table. What I was actually looking for was a grid of results that looks like this, that I can then turn into a plain list of results. So I had a good scour across the internet, and I came across this site, footballwebpages.co.uk, and it pretty much had in it the stuff that I wanted to show. Now, you can take data directly from a web page into Excel using Power Query, but only on Windows. So you can go into Windows, Excel on Windows, and you can say data, get data, web, specify a URL, and as long as the table on the web page is an HTML table, so as long as it's not being dynamically generated with something like JavaScript, then you can take that web page, that table from the web page, and bring it straight into Excel. I'm sure I've done that demo many times before on After Hours. Although Excel for Mac has Power Query, the functionality isn't included to bring data in from a web page. You can actually bring data in from a web page into Excel for the Mac, but not through Power Query. And actually that's what this week's YouTube video is about, how to bring data in from the web into Excel for Mac. So if you want to know more about that, watch the video when it's out over the weekend. But the website here, the website that I've chosen to use, the other reason I picked it is because I have this option to export as a CSV. So what I'm actually going to do is load the data into Excel from CSV files, because I can't load the data into Excel from the web. It just doesn't have that functionality right now. So if I minimize this, I've actually got these two pages. I've already done the extract to CSV, so I'll minimize these, and I've started this file rather than sitting there doing 3 repeats of the same demo. I've already brought the league table in, stuck it in this sheet called I've brought the data in from a CSV file that I didn't show you, which is actually all the Premier League results. So not just United's, all Premier League results. This is actually from the last season, because I wanted one that was complete. And I'm going to bring one more CSV file in. So the CSV file I'm going to bring in is the results one. So there is a preview, a quick look of it. It's basically that grid that I've just shown you on the web page. So what I will do is go to data, not that data, data on the ribbon, data, get data Power Query. Power Query is now in general availability. Probably the last time I demoed this on the Mac, it was only available to beta users, but it's now in general availability to anyone who's got 365. However, as you can see, there's limitations compared to the Windows version. There's definitely limitations in terms of what sources are supported. So I'm going to choose CSV. As you can see, we haven't got a web option there. Choose CSV, click browse, and it's taken me to my desktop because that was the last folder or last location I used, and it's the results CSV that I want to bring in. Click get data, click next, and it gives you a preview. Click load, and it's now bringing the data in. It looks an absolute mess, but part of what I'm going to do today is to show you how to tidy it up. And I've just seen Richard's comment, no need to focus on any Leeds United results. No, I won't be doing that, Richard. Don't worry.
Not after Thursday.
No, don't worry. Right, so that's brought the data in. So that is the league table pulled straight in from a CSV file which originated off that website. Just brought in again from a CSV file, and this one again is another CSV file. Ultimately, what I'm planning to do is create 2, maybe more pages, which will be my dashboard. A lot of people say a dashboard should be a single screen. I don't think that's necessarily true. I remember doing a dashboard session many years ago, when dashboards were kind of in their infancy, and I remember reading up on it, and there's a guy called Stephen Few who is like one of the gods of dashboarding, and his mantra was, it's got to fit on one screen. Personally, I don't think that's true anymore. For a start, the number of different screen resolutions and screen sizes, you're not going to get everything on one screen. And secondly, if you can create a multi-page dashboard in Power BI, I don't see any reason why you can't have a multi-page dashboard in Excel. So eventually I will create, I might do some of it tonight, but eventually I will create a number of dashboards or a number of pages in this dashboard. But really, today's session is to do with tidying up the data. So let's start with the league table. The first, if you look at what we've got here, we've got stuff that's wrong with this data. Not as bad as this one, but certainly it's far from perfect. It's far from usable. I need to get rid of that first column. I need to put heading of team against column B. I need to take this data here off row 2 and make it into headings. The table that was in the web page, the data is broken down into home and away. So really, I only want this this overall total. So there's a few bits I need to do to tidy it up. And the thing is, I could tidy it up here in Excel. You know, I could just right click and delete that column, and I can just delete these bits here, these columns that I don't need, and I could just type into A2 the word team, and there we go. Yeah, I could even overtype that plus minus with GD for goal difference. Problem I've got then is if I need to refresh this. So if I go and grab a new CSV file, then when I right click on this table and say refresh to bring the data in from the updated CSV file, great, I've got the updated data from the CSV file, but I've lost all those changes. So this is where Power Query comes in. Power Query lets us make all of those changes and keep those changes when the data is refreshed. So to do that, go to Data, go to Get Data, and go to the Query Editor. And this is the new Power Query Editor in Excel. I did a full session actually on the Power Query in Excel. It must be about a year ago, but it was still in beta at that point. So they have made changes and improvements. But the first thing I want to do is, look down the left hand side, and you've actually got 3 queries. One query per data set that's been loaded in. So it's the table that I want. It's that data set. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make what's on row 1 become the headers, because the headings that we've got right now, the column headings, are not the ones we want. All we do is click Transform, Use First Row as Headers. And just like magic, and I seem to have this problem on this machine, I haven't got it on my other Mac, but every time I perform an action in the Query Editor, it kind of doesn't show me the data. I have to click on one of these steps on the right hand side and then click back on the step that's just been created through what I've done, and now it's showing me the data. But you know, I have got a few issues with this Mac, and that's just one of them. But now what you can see is we've got the proper column headings. The next thing I'll do is double click on the blank heading where we've got the team names and type teams, or team will do. This time it's actually worked. I've not needed to do a refresh. The next thing I want to do is remove a number of columns. And the quickest way to do that is to go to Home, choose columns. And then I can actually just tick the ones I want. So I want the team, and I want the played, won, lost, drawn, goals for, goals against, goal difference, and points. And I know they're the ones I want because I want the ones from the right hand side of the table, because the others, as I showed you in the raw data, is it's broken it down by home and away. So a question from Richard: you've never used Power Query. You don't know what you're missing, Richard. Can it be used in a file in conjunction with VBA? It certainly can. In a way, VBA kind of sort of replaces, it sort of is replaced by Power Query, although it depends what you're trying to do. If what you're trying to do is just clean up imported data, then this is the way to do it. But VBA can do so much more. What I say now to people is use Power Query for cleaning your data, but use VBA for anything else you want to automate. But yes, it certainly can. So I'll click OK there, and it's tidied that up. The next thing I'm going to do is just rename these column headings. So I'll just do P, W, D, L, F is okay, A is okay. What's this one? Plus minus. I'll change that to GD as in goal difference. And that one is points. That one's okay as well. So that is the tidying up of the data. Basically, the query editor lets you take data from, I call it from A to B, where A is the raw data that you've loaded in, and B is how you want it. So at this point, I'm happy. I'm going to close and load. Close and load means close the query editor and load it back into the spreadsheet. And there we go. Much, much tidier now. Readable. Got the column headings that we want got the columns that we got rid of the columns that we don't want. And the beauty of it is that if I do a refresh, so if I just right click refresh, let's imagine that I've downloaded a fresh copy of that CSV file from that web page, which includes the latest results. And I actually did it this weekend, so the results, the games that were played midweek this week are not included, but I could go and grab another copy of the CSV file, and then hit refresh, and it'll load in the updated data, but it'll also go through all those actions. So in a way, it is automation, and that's why I say, Richard, it kind of replaces VBA. If I go back into the query editor, data launch query editor, what you've got is you've got all of these steps, and hitting refresh literally just goes through those steps one at a time. So it really is like a macro. And if you look, if I click on each of these steps and you look up here, this is the code it's written for you. Code is written in a language called M, which is a Microsoft language, but it writes the code for you, very, very much like the macro recorder. Okay, so that is the first data cleanup. The second data cleanup was on the results table. So this is the data that came in from that grid structure. It was a CSV file, but it was taken from a web page where the data is in a grid structure. And I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure you've seen those. I'm sure you've seen those grid structures.
Yeah. That
show you the home teams down the left and the away teams at the top, and then you've got the results in between. A bit like those league ladder things that they used to put in Shoot. But obviously we can't use the data in this format. One, it's totally unusable. And two, I actually want the data in a plain list for what I need to do. And that's the thing you've got to think about. You've got to think about what you're doing with the data. And what I ultimately need to do with the data is build some pivot tables and charts and stuff like that. So the data, even if I tidied it up and got rid of these equal signs and got rid of these double quotes and stuff like that, it's not going to work for me for this report in a grid structure. For me, it's got to be in a table. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to issue the command to use the first row as headers, which is just like the other data, because again, I've got the header row is not right. So I will click on transform, use first row as headers. And what it's now done is it's taken what was on row 1 and made it the column headings. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing I want to do is I want to basically switch it from being a table into a plain list, and that is done with a feature called unpivot. So I'm going to click on the first column, scroll across, hold the shift key down and click on the last column, which allows me to select all of the columns except the very first one, and click on home. It's not home, it's transform, sorry. Transform unpivot columns. And we now get a list. So instead of a table, we get a plain list, which is exactly what I want. I'm going to rename these columns, so just double click in the header row, and I'll call this one home team, and away team for the other one. That's better. Away team, and I'll put that one down as score, although I am going to split that eventually. Now, you'll notice that some of these rows have got what looks like a date. It's actually a text entry, but it looks like a date because these are matches that haven't yet been played. Oh, I just happen to be hovering over the Leeds one. That's going to be on tomorrow, isn't it, or Sunday? But I don't want those. I'm not interested in matches that haven't been played. So I want to remove any row that's got... I'm going to do it by removing any row where there is a slash. So if I click the drop down and go to what's the best way of doing this? Probably a couple of ways of doing this. Yeah, I want to keep the rows where the score doesn't contain a slash. So if I say text filters does not contain, so keep the rows where the score does not contain a slash, and click OK. That should have done it. Yeah, there we go. So that's got rid of all the ones with a future date by saying keep the rows where it does not contain a slash. There's also some blanks in there, and that's where the team name, the home team and the away team are the same. So obviously Arsenal can't play Arsenal, Aston Villa can't play Aston Villa. So I will do another filter, and this time what I'll do is, there we go, I will untick blank. So anything that's got blank in the score column I don't want. And that has got rid of those. The next thing I want to do is I want to keep the text after the equals sign. So what I'll do here is make sure the score column is selected and go to transform extract. Extract means keep or retain. So extract text after delimiter. A delimiter is a single character or a string of characters, and put equals. So I want to keep everything after the equals sign. Then I want to remove the double quotes. Now, I think I had an issue with this, but I'll try it anyway. Actually, before I remove the double quotes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to split that column into two using the hyphen as the separator. So with that column selected, transform, split column by delimiter, set the delimiter as a custom delimiter because the one I want, which is the hyphen, is not in that list, and type the hyphen and click OK. It hasn't actually split it there, but it has got rid of the double quotes. So I'll try splitting it again. So I'll go to the same column and do the same command. So transform, split column by delimiter, specify the hyphen, click OK. That looks like it's done it. Yeah, so it must have been the double quotes, extra column null, and removing the, sorry, the first split removed the double quotes. I don't want this column. I don't need this column now. So I can remove it by going to Home and Remove Columns. And then what I'll do is I'll just rename these. So instead of score.3, I will call that one goals each and goals A. And I think that's it. I think I've now got what I need. But that is much easier. I think you'll agree with that, Richard. It's much easier than writing VBA code, which is what you used to have to do. Before Power Query came along, you'd have to write VBA code to do that kind of cleanup. And, that could take you a long, long time to do. So let's come out of the query editor, close and load. Let's go to the results tab, and there it is. So we've taken the data from a table structure that was totally messy, and we've got it in a nice, neat list that I can then use to do things. So, if I wanted to know how many goals have been scored, I can add that column up. If I wanted to see the United matches, I can do that. But you need to get the data into the right format. And that's where Power Query comes in. Power Query does two things: gets the data in the first place, and then using a nice friendly interface, it allows you to get the data from A to B, where A was that messy format and B is this nice tidy format. And again, if I choose to do a refresh, right click refresh, not only does it bring the data in, but it also tidies it up. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for today, unless you need me to carry on. No? Okay, so I'm going to leave it there for today. And then next week, I will actually take this imported data and tidied up data. I'm going to save the file, and I can then keep this file as it is, ready for next week, where I will show you how you can use that data to build reports and dashboards. Okay, I will pass back to you.
You have to give me 1 second. Right. All kinds of stuff going on over here. Right, let's save that.
Okay, so before you start, I see a question from Richard. You often use non-tabular data sets. Will Power Query still work? You can try, Richard. It's obviously going to be much easier on tabular data sets, whether that data's in an Excel table or a table in a PDF or a table in a SharePoint list or a table on a website. You can probably try bringing the data in and then strip out the bits that you don't need. I have seen it work on PDFs where there's a table within a PDF, but you bring the whole lot in and then you strip out the bits that aren't tabular. So it's definitely worth a try. Okay.
Right, Obsidian. Right, we're looking at a plugin, and we're looking at it specifically in relation to creating maps of content, but it can do much more than that. So the plugin in question is Dataview, and it's a community plugin. So before you try using it, you will have to enable support for community plugins, but beyond that, it's incredibly simple. So what Dataview gives you is a view of your data in one of 4 formats. And that is, it can generate a list, a table, a list of tasks, or a calendar view. Now, you might be wondering, well, hang on a minute. I understand in Notion that I build databases, and therefore I can have different views. But so far in Obsidian, I've said it's like an integrated development environment that sits on top of a folder full of text files. So up to this point, you could have created thousands and thousands of notes and then thought, well, just a minute, I've not categorized them in any kind of way. That doesn't necessarily stop Dataview from working. So I will explain how it works, but you can still have your data in Obsidian in any kind of ramshackle way that you choose. And Dataview can be manipulated to show you just what you need. So let's go and have a look at that. Right, so where's my Obsidian gone? Think I had 2 of them, did I? I did. There we go. Right, I've got a page ready, but I haven't even got Dataview installed. So I'm going to take you through the whole process. So first of all, need to bring up the preferences and you need to go to community plugins. Make sure that the restricted mode is off so you can use these plugins. I mean, if you've used the plugins as we've gone along with this series, then you will already have that all sorted. Then click on the browse button. And then through the 954 plugins, we're looking for Dataview. So it is this one, last updated 3 months ago, and you can see there's almost 750,000 users using it. So click on there. You can read through this if you like. It gives you some examples. So the kind of syntax that we'll be writing is this kind of thing. It's very straightforward, and there's even an easier way to do it, which I will share with you. But this is the kind of result that you get. So the name with the underlined under it are the pages. You've got the time it was played, the length and the rating. So that one is a table. Then you can have just a plain list. You can pull in the tasks so they're on a separate page. And you've also got in here, that's a more advanced one, but you've also got calendars in there as well. So these will give you some examples, but as I say, it borders on a dirty hack, this. There is a way to make it really straightforward where you don't have to actually code anything. So first thing we need to do, now we've found it, is actually install it. So that'll take a couple of seconds and then it needs to be enabled. So remember that 2 steps, install it and then enable it. And then wade through the help file if you like. But I just take us back to the fact that what we were doing last week was making a map of content. And Kim made the point that to her that was a note. And a map of content is a note. It's more of an evergreen note in terms of it contains links to other notes. But what sets it apart is that you can provide context as well as the links to the other notes. But it's not very automated. In fact, it's incredibly manual. Now, I've been through the stages with note-taking of feeling that I'm too slow and wanting to automate stuff and then spending time automating stuff. And then it's like, well, yeah, it's automated now. And now I feel divorced from it. And now I'm not like engaged with the material. So I don't mind a little bit of friction. But there are times when you just don't have the time. And you would like to create what isn't really a map of content. It's an index. But you could turn it into a map of content by separating the individual groups of data. So what we've got is a standard note here. Nothing clever at all. We've got the Dataview installed. And now I'm going to manually write a query. So what I've got in the root is this folder of Mac OS. This was the research I was doing, if you remember. And each one is on a separate page. Each one has links. You know, each is linking to the other and whatever. That's fantastic because we made this WWDC 2023 map of content. Right, and we had all these in there. The problem with this is it doesn't get updated as more and more versions of macOS are added. So that's why we're looking at Dataview to handle that situation. So going back to that one, which is blank and ready and waiting, I'm going to write the first data query. So how you start a Dataview query is putting in the backtick. Now, in my case, the backtick is next to the Z on the keyboard. In America, maybe somewhere else. Let me know in the chat. So, backtick 1, 2, 3. And when you get 3, it automatically closes the backticks on the next line down. And I can then type in Dataview. That is the instruction to tell it that what comes next is all to do with Dataview. So what exactly do I want in this page? Well, it would be great to be able to automate all the pages that are in the macOS folder to have a list of them in here, but that gets updated. So I need to press enter and then I need to tell it what I want. So remember I said there was 4 different types of output. There's the list, the table, the tasks, and the calendar. Now, all I need at the moment is a list. If I had a list of all of the files that were in that folder, that would be a great start. So the first thing I tell it is that I want a list. Now, what do you want a list of? Well, then I need to tell it where from. So I need to put another line and another keyword. So I'm putting the keywords in capitals. How do I tell it where it's from? Well, it's in a folder. And how I tell it a folder is to put in the speech marks. Zimbop's seeing tilde back key and thinking of basmati rice. There's always one, isn't there, Simon? Right, how I tell it that it's a folder is I put it in speech marks and then I give it the name of the folder, which in this case is macOS. That is probably enough. Let's have a look. As soon as I press enter, it pulls it all in. Now, it's actually brought them in alphabetically as they are in the folder. If I wanted the newest at the top, though, I'd have to go in and tinker with that. So let's say I do want them the other way round. So list me everything in the macOS folder and then give it another instruction to sort, and it would be by file name, which is file.name. But then I want it in descending order, not ascending order. And now I've got Ventura at the top, followed by Monterey and Big Sur, so I can work backwards at that point. And that is probably the fastest way to get what some people would call a map of content. At this stage, I probably wouldn't. I would probably say that's just an index to a folder full of notes. But there's nothing wrong in having an index to a folder full of notes if that makes life easier for you. So to automate it, that's one way. Now that, of course, at the moment is the contents of a folder. But what if all your material isn't in the same place? So we'll keep it fairly straightforward. So we'll get another new file and we will come back to that one shortly. So what we'll put in here is, what if we had something where we were working with MacBites and MacBites was a tag? So let's say MacBites content. It would be better if it would appear MacBites content. Right. So this time, very similar, start exactly the same way. So backtick, 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 and Dataview. So it knows what instruction is coming. Now this time, how do I do this? Well, where would my MacBites content be? What would define something as being MacBites content? Now, it could be that I have a page called MacBites. It could be I have a tag called MacBites. So before you start writing all of this, you do need to know how you are going to delineate your content. Where's it coming from? Is it a folder? Is it a tag? Where is it? So I haven't got a tag for MacBites, I don't think, but we'll write it and then we'll check it all. So I want another list. This time I want it to be a particular tag. So I still put from, but what I do is actually put the tag. These are the tags that I've got, and I don't have a MacBites tag. We'll sort that out, but I'll make from MacBites. Not worrying about the sort or anything at this point, and you can see there's no results. That's to be expected. We've checked the tags and there's nothing tagged MacBites. So we'll get a new page, another new page, and let's say that this is things to do this week. Things to do this week. Right, and I start to put some things in here, and I put MacBites. I've no idea what actually is, Mike. Shall I just say 165 and hope for the best?
I think it is, isn't it?
No idea. But let's say MacBites to 165. Now I could either go to the beginning of this and I could hashtag that, or I could go to the end and just hashtag it MacBites. I prefer to have the tag at the end, especially if I put something like record MacBites. I would want that at the end. Notice straight away, as soon as that tag appeared, look what happened on the left-hand side.
166.
Oh, we done to 165. Good grief, who knew? Right,
Well, we didn't.
We didn't. Right. Notice straight away that I've then got a link of things to do this week. So it's linking to the page containing the tag. So if I were to go to my Mac stuff in here, and let's say I was going to do a piece about Ventura, and I just decide at the bottom of it there, hashtag that MacBites. And OK. Why are you not appearing? I have no idea. Oh, there you go. About time. So as soon as something is tagged, within a couple of seconds, it appears in your list. So it could be that your files are in a set location. It could be they have a set tag. Now, if you've used other block-based editors, you may have tried Roam Research. And in Roam Research, tags and pages are one and the same. In Obsidian, they are not. So you are not bringing back here anything that may be linked to a page called MacBites. So having the tag MacBites is all very well, but what if I had a page called MacBites? So what that would look like would be this. Let's go over there and make a new file, lose that one. And that I'm going to put tag, which means MacBites tag. MacBites content, but it's based on a tag. This one here is going to be MacBites content, but this time it's going to be based on a page. So our query in here needs to be slightly different. Instead of saying hash MacBites, we would take this, because we can, and we would paste it in there, and instead of saying hashtag MacBites, we would put in there how you would refer to a page, which is the double brackets. Now, at the moment, no results. That's because we don't have a MacBites page and nothing is linked to it. Right. What I'll do is, in here, we'll make a new page. We will call that MacBites. Again, at the moment, there's nothing linked to it. So let's get rid of the tags one. And we still have no results because there's nothing linked to it. There's nothing referring to it. There's no linked mentions. There's no unlinked mentions. So let's get a page. Go in here. And this time on the Monterey, instead of using a tag, I could use a page. So I put in the double brackets. I choose MacBites. And I wait with a bit of luck. There we go. It comes through then. So you can link to pages in a specific location, pages that have a specific tag, or pages that refer to specific other pages. One question I get asked a lot is, when do I use a tag and when do I use a page reference? And given that they act quite similarly, you could say do whatever you want. But I always think I don't want to come to it into Obsidian and find I've got 3 million tags, because it makes organising them much more difficult. So I did go down the route of I'll add this tag and that tag, but now I don't. The only tags I have, I think I've got about 8. I've got a tag for mic, I've got a tag for work in progress, I've got a tag for follow-up, but the kind of action tags, what I do with the mic tag is when we've got 5 minutes to sit down, because someone was very busy this week, weren't you? When we've got 5 minutes to sit down, I'll just click on the mic tag and I'll say, oh, there was this and this and this, and that's dealt with. And then when it's dealt with, I delete the tag from whatever it was next to. I could have a mic page, but a mic page is going to have content on it, like maybe his phone number and personal details. So the tag works well to temporarily tag something and then just remove the tag. If I'm doing something like a show, so we've got this MacBites page, I would actually have a page for MacBites, which is the show number. So tonight I've been delivering this session from a page in Obsidian that is called MacBites After Hours 192. And that's a proper page. Why wasn't it a tag? Because I want to see the content of it all together. The content is on that page. So I would refer to that page rather than use a tag. But as you can see here, it doesn't really matter how you go about this. Now, the other problem you've got, let's have a look. We've done lists so far, but what if what you want to bring back, there's nothing there that you can hook into? So all of the pages aren't in a separate location. All of the pages aren't tagged something. What about situations like that? Now, I've shown you that Dataview can work straight out the box without you doing anything clever at all. You can refer to folders, tags, pages, however you want to work. But there is a way that you can make it even better. So we have in our inbox, I think, some sessions. We put in some fake sessions, right? So there's session 1. And you will notice in there, let's get rid of this, that I have this meta block. And within the meta block, I have things that say date and a double colon. That came from Rome. I used Rome Research and I just carried on doing that. They are properties of this page, but there is another way to do that. And I did try this, but I must admit it's not for me. And that is to use something called YAML. So if I move up to the very top of this page, YAML is a name for, why are you doing that? Don't do that. Right, YAML is stands for yet another markup language. And it means that you put metadata at the top of the page. So instead of doing what I've done there, you could put 3 dashes. Now look what happens to the rest of the page. It's like, whoa, what happened? What happened? You need to open the YAML and you need to close the YAML with another 3 dashes. Then you can put your metadata in between the dashes. So if I wanted to put in here, now obviously I've got date, time, presenter and series. But maybe I'm working through this and I want to put something in like status. And I can do that. I just put status in and then this one could be work in progress. And I'm giving it information that I can then use in Dataview to pull it in. So you have 2 ways of doing that. Those are the 2 ways, either using YAML front matter. The reason I don't use the YAML front matter is it's a little bit untidy. Now it doesn't have to be, because if you switch from edit view to read view, the YAML disappears. But that just annoys me because then it's like, where's the YAML? What did I put in the YAML? So I must admit, I do prefer the metadata approach. I also need to caveat this with, I do have some Dataview queries, but I do not go crazy with Dataview queries because I did that kind of thing in Rome and I realised, you know what, simple's better. So I do tend to keep it quite simple. But that is what YAML is and that is what it's used for, and you can refer to it in the query. So that's why it's worth having it there. So I do put my meta in and I do put the double colon at the end. That's just my preference. Many other people use YAML and they hide it, then they don't need to see it. Just 2 ways of doing that. Now, that's all very well. Let's try something in here. I think I did have this in. We will try again. So I'm going to make a new page. Right. What I'll put in this one is tasks. Now, I've no idea in this one. I've done this in my own database where I do have tasks. I've no idea if I've got any tasks in what's in the inbox or anything like that. But if not, we'll put some in. Right. So this time I want to put in a query. And need to be clicked in the right place. 1, 2, 3, data view. And what do I want? Now, we've done list up to now, but if I want to see all of the tasks, I need to put in task instead. Then I need to tell it where from. Now, if you just leave it at task, it will pull in every checkbox. I don't want it to do that. I've got thousands of notes. I do not want it to do that. I want to limit it to a specific location. So let's say the inbox makes sense for this. So you need the from keyword, and then with it being a folder, you use the speech marks, and it's, in this case, underscore inbox. Be careful. If you put an underscore in, it puts one at the end, and there is no underscore at the end of my inbox title. We can see that up there. So I've asked Dataview to go find all the checkboxes that are in all the pages contained in the inbox folder. With a bit of luck, that is what it will do. And there we go. So we've got our record MacBites. We've literally just added that. And you can see another reason why I put the tag at the end. And that is because it uses the CSS to style it. And I don't particularly want that in the middle of whatever I'm saying. I think it looks better at the end, so I do that. So it pulls through all of the items that have a checkbox. That is a great way, if you are putting to-dos in pages in your inbox, that is a great way to track them on an individual page. Now, that's the basics of Dataview. You can take this as far as you like, but before you try doing that, you probably need to master the syntax of the whole thing. And that's where the dirty hack comes in. The nice little cheat that we've got. So let me show you that. Right, there is a website. I will put it in the chat. Might make a note to remind me to put it in the description as well. So let me take that and put that in the chat. And you can play along as we go. This is a query builder for Dataview. You'll see it says Basic Dataview Query Builder, but it'll really help you learn the syntax. So how I've been doing it, I've got a text file open on the other screen with all of my stuff in it that I'm demonstrating, all of the code. The last thing you need is me to go brackets blind in the middle of a live demo. Now, what this site does is enable you to generate queries that you can copy and paste into Obsidian, literally by answering questions. So you need to click the start button and get going with it. So what do you want? And you'll notice that it's the 4 outputs that are listed. Do you want a list? Do you want a table? Do you want the task? Do you want the calendar? So let's say I want a list that matches my query. And what happens at the bottom here is it's building it up. You could take that and it would list every page in your Obsidian. Or you can move on and answer the next question. So what do you want to include? And these are the things we've talked about. They have a particular tag. Notes inside a root level folder and its subfolders. A specific subfolder. Notes that link to the current note. Notes that my current note links out to. Now, these are actually shown at the bottom, but if you prefer not to see your links at the bottom, then it's another way around it. You only want to see notes that link to a specific note, or you only want notes that are linked to from a specific note. So you can get really granular with this. So let's do the MacBites one and say notes that have a particular tag. So as soon as I click on that, it does 2 things. It adds it in here, and it also allows me to put in the name of the tag, which was MacBites. So put in MacBites in there, and straight away this is updated at the bottom. Again, at that point, if that's what you want, you only need to click this. It will copy it to the clipboard and you can go and paste it in. Or you can carry on. So move on to the next one. Right, do you want to filter the results? Not really, no. I'm happy, right? I want to see all the notes returned from the from statement. But I can still carry on because I'd like them to be ordered. So this one is saying, do you want it ascending after this? Do you want it based on the note name? So this is the sorting of it. So let's say I want this. Let's have a look at it. That one will do, which is the default behavior. And go on. And then I've got more that I can answer. So you literally walk through this. So how do I want them organised? You can have one result per line. You can group them based on the tags, based on the months they were created. Now, I think I've only got one, so I don't think it's going to make much difference. But let's say based on the folder they belong to. And that adds another line, and it's writing it for you. So let's move again. Choose everything or only show me the first few matches. Well, I want to see everything at this point. And I've got that. Hit the copy button. Get rid of that and go back into here. So this one is tasks. I'll make a new page. And this will be my MacBites. I know there's already one, just a minute. Say MacBites index. This one is referring to the tag of MacBites, not the page of MacBites. So paste it in, do that, and those are the two locations that are referencing the MacBites tag. And I didn't have to write it, which I don't know about you, but I think that is totally amazing. So that's the Dataview basic builder. We can get way more detailed with that, but that's a quick introduction. I will get more detailed in how you can use Dataview to create what I consider to be proper MOCs rather than just indexes next time. But do we have any questions on that?
We don't.
Okay, let's head off into there. And what have we got coming up? Well, we have another new show next week. So that is 5th of May. How did it get to be the 5th of May? That's 193 next week. And don't forget, we did go over this at the beginning, but I don't think Simon was there for a start. We have a special announcement. Simon is going to want to make a note of this. Monday, the 8th of May, so a week on Monday, you know, early, 7 o'clock UK time, just the kind of coronation special Simon's going to enjoy. And hopefully the rest of you. So that will be happening 7 o'clock, 8th of May, which is a national holiday in the UK. Thanks to Charlie and his coronation thing. Carol enjoyed that. You always thought Dataview was too complicated. It can get complicated, but it doesn't have to. So I will show more on it next week, but that's a really solid, good start. And the basic builder will build it for you. And you can learn as you go by asking it, give it different criteria and then see what it writes. And then you can take it and make it your own. Oh, you could just ask the AI. I wonder if that'd work. I might make a note. I will check that and let you know next week. Will the AI write it for you? So hopefully you'll be able to join us at MacBites FM for the Marooned at MacBites headquarters coronation special. Who wouldn't want? Right, on demand we have everything that we do, and that is at youtube.com/Elaine Giles. There is a playlist dedicated to all things after hours, and you can find that at macbites.co.uk/after hours playlist. And of course, we love you guys. And if you love us, you could do a couple of things. You could give us a like on the video, and you could subscribe and hit that notification bell, and that way you won't miss anything that we do. My mail list is elainegiles.com/VIP. That's where you hear about all the live sessions first. But if it's after hours that you're interested in, those mails go out via MacBites, and that is macbites.co.uk/macbites-mail. We also have the ever amazing Slack chat room where we carry on the conversation. If you are not already a member, you can join at macbites.co.uk/join Slack. If you are already a member, don't do that because you create a new account. You just need to go to macbites.co.uk/Slack and you will be able to log in. And that is what we have for you today. So, we got any questions?
I don't think so.
Oh, I think Simon is rather happy about Marooned. Night, Peter. Well, it had to be done, didn't it? If you missed the bit at the beginning, Simon, shame on you. But what I was saying was everybody's getting giddy over the coronation, and I can't say I really am. I couldn't really be bothered. Will I watch it? I have no idea. No idea. But I felt a party was in order. And I thought, well, obviously, a MacBites party. Who wouldn't want a MacBites party? So that's what we're doing. That's our thing for the coronation. By then, of course, it will all be over, including the shouting, which is probably the best way to enjoy it. So I said at the beginning, probably 2 seconds about the coronation. Yeah, it happened. Let's move on. And then we'll be all MacBitesy and Maroonedy. So there you go. Right. Do we have any other questions about anything?
No, we don't.
That means ice cream, but it's a bit late, isn't it? I might do the ice cream thing anyway, you never know. Did you make a note of trying the AI?
Yeah.
That's going to be so exciting if it works. That would be very clever. Oh, just think of the prompts that we could build for that. So fingers crossed that works. I will let you know on that next week. And at some point, well, we're clearly ahead of ourselves if we didn't think we'd recorded 165. And actually, we're ready for 166. and I've got a Hindenburg to sort out with that. At least it stopped crashing when you insert other files. I'll probably find other issues with it. I should probably have mentioned that the stuff's backwards compatible. You just lose the colours. So I think maybe 166. Who knows? Who knows? Get the Aldi chocolate that you linked. Whoa, I didn't see Aldi chocolate. Mike, where's the link to the Aldi chocolate?
I didn't see you linked it.
He says, get the Aldi chocolate that I linked. Did you link it in here or did you link it in Slack? I'm a bit behind in Slack.
I didn't see you link it, Jamie.
Jamie, put it in again. If there's something going on here that I'm unaware of, I need to be aware of it. Is this why you go to the gym? I find it easier just not to eat at all and then I don't have to go to the gym.
I know you mentioned it, but I didn't see any link.
Oh, we've lost the link to Aldi chocolate. Let me do Google's Aldi chocolate. Is it drinking chocolate or...
No, it's proper chocolate.
Oh, it's not that dark stuff, is it?
No, it's...
Is it milk chocolate?
A chocolate bar, milk and white chocolate combined.
Oh, I remember that years ago. It wasn't from Aldi, though. Wasn't it? Was it Dairy Milk that brought one out that was half and half? Oh,
yeah, Dairy Milk. It might not let them put links in the chat.
Oh, I thought you could put links in the chat.
Stick it in Slack, Jamie.
No, stick it in here. I need to click it.
Yeah, but if it doesn't let them
I've done the Googles, but I'm not sure if this is 50-50 chocolate. Do you remember Terry's Moonlight? That was.
If it's not letting them put links in there.
Is it that one? That looks like it's 50-50.
Shocker. There you go. Go and find it. Shocker.
Oh, it's a shame Kim's gone because she authorises, she certifies something to not actually be chocolate. White chocolate's not chocolate, apparently. Oh, I see the brand. I see the brand. So I'm there. It is. I think I've got a picture of it. Is the white on the inside? No, these are filled mini bars. Oh, Jammy, what have you done? Oh, you've opened a can of worms now. Now I'm looking at all of it. Oh, I'll have to get a gym membership. No, that would never do, would it, Mike? No, that would never, ever do. Trust me, never darken a gym's door. It's too peoply. Mind you, anywhere other than the office is too peoply for me, I'm afraid. But there you go. Right, I'm going to look that up, Jammy. I am. But for the moment, I'm going to say good night from me.
And good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Stay safe, guys.